day rally for the NASDAQ, specifically S&P close behind that. We're back to the downside here once again this morning on the back of some more increased or different, at least, tensions coming out of Iran this morning and over the weekend between Iran and the U.S. We'll get into that coming up. Oil back to the upside in a big way here to the tune of about 6% so far this morning. We'll touch on some energy names. 50% retracement here overall from what we saw on Friday. It was mostly in the pre-market, if you remember, for the NASDAQ. But back downside here once again. Is it open? Is it not open? Will it be open again? Probably. Let's be honest. It's the ping pong match that never ends here. The Strait of Hormuz, obviously what we're talking about. As of Saturday, late in the afternoon, it seemed to be closed and blocked once again. Trump with all kinds of threats on Truth Social as to when Iran is going to get this reopened for good. Who knows? But I mean, this just doesn't seem to want to go away. No, and tensions were a little bit more heightened. The U.S. boarding a merchant ship, an Iranian merchant ship, basically. I was watching the video of that was posted online. Communications back and forth. Firing at their engine room, disabling the boat, Brendo. So obviously things getting a little bit tense over there. Oil up here, at least USO 4 3/4, back above $120. That will have to be in focus for us, as that has so many different corollary effects. And you kind of felt like things were winding down a little bit on the weekend, right? Yeah. You started here. Friday even. Yeah. Well, exactly. Yeah. Right. And you heard, I would say, less contentious tone from the Iranians. You had seen more of a conciliatory tone from President Trump, I would say, for the last week and a half. You hadn't really heard that from the Iranians. You started hearing a little bit more of that. I think that buoyed the market. Multiple all-time highs last week. Can we hold them, though? Yeah, that's going to be the key question. Lots of individual names to talk about. Again, we'll get into some oil stocks here coming up. Here's Marvell. Meanwhile, about to break session lows. I guess it just did, trying to hold session lows. Back to the downside we go right now. I mean, there was initial reports that there was a deal with Google for a chip deal. Was up more than 6% on that. Huge gap to the upside, and then we pushed even higher on this deal. It looks like at this point, I was just reading a couple of additional comments on this, that not only is that not the case, but they're also kicking the tires with a whole bunch of other options in the chip arena. So is there a deal? Is there not a deal? It sounds like there could be one at some point here in the near future, which is positive for them, but back downside. Back downside, yeah. It was well over 150 last night on Blue Ocean. I was telling the boys, I was watching this thing at 153. I think it's, where were you now? In the mid 140s? Sorry, my computer's freezing over here. MRVL, yeah, we're still up nicely here, about almost 5%, but well below that 150. So the deal is, look, big pre-market move, big aftermarket move, or there was a report that Google was in talks with Marvell, which is a chip designer for custom ASICs, as we've been talking about, to build two new chips to run AI models. Marvell's really been in focus lately, not just for custom ASICs, but also for photonics and networking. Such a huge area in the AI tech stack now, Brendo. Can't get the words out. It's Monday. It's every bit of Monday at the moment. But yeah, this is a good one to watch, but you have to watch out for the fade here. More coffee required, definitely. Thursday, by the way, we'll get Tesla as well coming through. So to kick off the biggest of the big earnings for this earnings season, we are downside ever so slightly here, hanging on to this 400 level for Tesla. That's the daily chart right now. I mean, it's going to be all about the comments and all about the production side of things for Tesla. Where are they with the robots? Where are they with the Cybercab? Yeah, absolutely. And we saw an aggressive shift in strategy last week. Not only did we get the announcement about Terafab, but what I did want to really emphasize was the hiring. And the reason that the hiring here was indicative is it gives us a window, a timeline of when to expect Terafab if you were to base it on their previous actions. So they're looking for engineers specifically. So people were saying that, the hiring process usually precedes production by about 2 to 3 years. So we can kind of get an estimation of when to expect these things. But to be honest with you, the more speculation now about what he's going to do with Terafab over the weekend. Speculating that he might use 50 to 70% of the output and then basically compete with Taiwan Semi and Samsung's
with the rest of his capacity in the high end node space, 3 nanometer, 4 nanometers. So it should be interesting to see what he can do here.
It seems like there's just unlimited demand for these things, and I mean, he's said in the past, it's whatever they can get their hands on and then some. This breakout, however, to the upside for Tesla on a technical basis, definitely holding, which is positive going into the earnings. I mean, that initial day, that initial pop to the upside the stock had, the way and the ferociousness that the buying was coming in ahead of earnings as well. I mean, it would be shocking if we were right back down after this report.
Exactly. That's what I want to see. I want to see us holding the $400 level. That's a key technical area, especially it took us so long to get back above it. And then if we can really catch a bit of a bid, I don't know if you got to see the overnight headline for Tesla. No longer Austin is where the robotaxi is being rolled out, but now they're going to Dallas and they're going to Houston. There's this theme here, though, Brendo. I'm sure you can pick up on it, and it's Texas-centric. How come we're not hearing more about other jurisdictions? He's got a favorable regulator there, and he's really taking advantage of it.
I mean, if they can get positive results and then take those and expand with them, I guess that's the key at this point. Happy Monday. Joe's back in the seat. Sean off until Thursday, I believe. Enjoying, where the hell did he go again? Mexico?
I think he's in Miami.
I don't know. Happy Monday, guys.
He's at a beach somewhere.
By the beach.
Yeah, he's at the beach somewhere.
Let's be real. That's all that really matters.
Yeah.
We got straight up every kind of weather you could get yesterday in the GTA. We got it. There was rain, there was snow, there was hail. It was unbelievable sunshine. Oh, like at one point, I was outside without like a jacket and like short sleeves.
Crazy.
And then the next minute, I'm watching hail. It was just complete and utter nonsense, but that's Canada for you. I can't believe that the entire opening crawl happened. And psychedelic stocks are up like crazy.
Yeah.
You know, because we got an executive order from the president. And it's also April the 20th.
Ooh.
Now, I don't know if I don't know, would it happen? Could it happen? There's literally zero reason for it to happen. But I was looking over this chart, and it just so happens that you can't make this up. MSOS literally could break out above the 200-period moving average at 420 today, on 420. Unfortunately, there's absolutely no catalyst. It's actually the other side. Like, you got to look at, you actually want to look at the psychedelic stocks today. Like Cybin would be one of them that's gapped up, at least it was, up 14%. There's a host of others you'll find on the watch list. It's just one of these energy up, market down kind of things. And then you throw in the context of just how strong we were going into some of the highs. Like, a lot of things feel like they want to pull back a little bit. And, you know, looking at AMD on Friday, getting like super strong for AMD, but just double topping at that 280 and unable to push through at the open, and then later on. So there's some pretty big levels coming. NVIDIA's back underneath that 200 level.
Yeah.
We got oil creeping up, but it's not really that far, if we're being honest about it. Like, I actually thought that maybe we'd be closer to double digits up on USO. Really did think we'd have like we basically just came back to where we were at the open on Friday. I was actually expecting to be higher than we were sitting at this time on Friday. So a little bit of a surprise there. Got the 123 level on watch. Yeah, there's a lot to look at for sure. We'll keep our heads on a swivel, and we get some earnings coming through next week or later on in the week. This should be interesting. Obviously, Tesla's going to be big when we get some intel as well.
Absolutely.
Should be a good week.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot going on this morning. I'm like, okay, we gapped down, and then with the exception, we have Marvell climbing higher. I'm like, all right, what's going on here? We look into some things. You mentioned the Google news, false. Now you're down a little bit off of the highs. Not too bad. And then also we have Clearmind. You're talking about the psychedelics getting a little bit of a pop. You can see Clearmind, CMND starting to climb a little bit higher as well too, guys. So, I mean, there's a lot of volume coming in there, 83 million shares. Nonetheless, I think one of the big things this week is going to be the Tesla report. A lot of us looking forward to that one and see where Elon is necessarily with production. I think that's going to be extremely key, right? The next driver of this. We don't expect much from EV sales. We know they've been on the decline for quite some time. But I mean, remain forward-looking. I think that's just been the narrative with this stock. A massive channel breakout from a technical standpoint, and you can see that we have been climbing, and there's been some pretty solid trading sessions nonetheless. So there's a lot going on. CMND, some small cap names. We have Marvell with the potential fade and filling that gap. Are we going to climb higher? We have the inverse correlation back between USO and the overall market, which I think is going to be a key driver here. So keep your eye on that. And I mean, some of the tech names, we talk about NVDA, right? Like we can pull this name up and just say, hey, are we continuing to climb? We typically see a lot of open interest in this, especially, it's not going to report for quite some time, but nonetheless, I think this is, like, you see the strength within the market, and I think it's being led by, well, it is being led by essentially some of the larger names, and that's Tesla starting to catch a bid. You have NVDA. Apple hasn't really been participating, but you have the Amazons continuing to climb. So the big boys playing their part, and that's essentially what you want to see. We have a gap down here in Robinhood as well. We were climbing up to $93, $94 at some point, now selling off a little bit, but an overall strong recovery with that news that dropped last week of the 2-week ceasefire. So yeah, a lot going on. Looking forward to what we have coming this week. And then we have, I think, Intel at some point.
Yeah, Intel later on.
Yeah, Intel's later on as well. So
there's a few chip names that have been flying.
Yeah.
You know, like Intel, Marvell, and AMD have all been flying. And to be able to get Intel have to put up or shut up first on their earnings this week, I think is kind of a big deal. But the interesting thing about this one is, well, it's hard. The trend hasn't been unbelievable. There's no question about it. But I felt like regardless of the market gapping down, like the way Intel ended last week felt like a little bit of a dip. Like I was coming in here with that like 70 rejection, and then we ended up closing, already looking like you were forming a bit of a head and shoulders, and then a bit of market weakness. But I think you got to stay ahead on a swivel or sort of a little bit nimble, because my first gut is, it's an easy look for the head and shoulders. It's a pop and fade today on Intel, because even if the market wasn't weak, I was probably favoring that one just directionally. Like, ball doesn't lie, though. It's just about, sometimes it's like how far you've gone into earnings. We saw that with Netflix. You run heavy into the report, and you can't show any sign of weakness. You're just going to get clapped back, right? You get a little overextended, and we'll see in a couple of days. But we've already seen it happen once in this earnings season. And I feel like these guys are, if there isn't a healthy pullback, we're primed for the same thing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one thing that you have to kind of keep in the back of your mind, too. Neil, did we move too far too fast? Right? Like it's been a pretty quick, swift move up here. It's like 20% in NVDA and across the board. So, I mean, yeah, 22% off of the lows. And then you have Tesla climbing and some other names that are up 20, 23%. So we were talking bear market territory 2 weeks ago, with the exception of Apple, who was only down 15% at one point. But the rest of them were all down 20+% at the lows of this consolidation low. You're down 22% off the highs on NVDA. And then you have Microsoft, who has been down 33%, and then you have Tesla as well too. Google was hitting that bear market territory. So it's been a swift recovery here, guys. I mean, we don't want to rain on the parade. You just essentially want to go with the flow, and if that says buy. We were talking on Friday. It's just like, okay, well, who is left in the shorts, right? I mean, if you're shorting and you're using your previous all-time high as you're out, well, you're out of the game. So are you going to be re-engaging when you have this strong of momentum? I don't know. I personally wouldn't. I'd be looking to continue to climb higher, and I think that's been the narrative for the past week.
Ooh, we got a super chat already. Let's throw it up if I can find it. Right over here, we've got B. Joe with the super chat. Good morning.
It's good morning.
Well, I like it. That's easy. I don't know what that means.
What is UW?
What is UW?
Is that supposed to be like an emoji or something?
I don't know if it is. You tell me what you mean by that. I'm not going to pretend to.
And what's no? Oh, North is it? No, I was just saying.
No, that's a. It's a Norwegian kroners.
Yeah, kroners,
Norwegian kroners.
Yeah, kroners.
And the only reason I know that is because we got a super chat
last week
previously with
what
that.
Time?
We appreciate you. We appreciate you. What's that? There's another reason?
What?
What's the other reason, Sharif?
Swedish kroner. Come on, putty.
Oh.
Counting the kroners on the airplane, Neil.
Putty.
Drove Elaine crazy. She wanted to kill him.
That's my bad, Putty. Underrated
What
character.
was the reason?
That's just another Seinfeld reference. that Joe's gonna hate.
Yeah,
on.
but I had no idea what was going on right
That's
there. So
okay.
you just nod your head sometimes,
That's all right.
That's
Seinfeld's legit.
all right, man. Yeah, that's it.
Legit. It was a good show.
I mean,
Oh, I finally saw. Oh, this is. I have the chart up of ASTS.
yeah.
Which instantly reminded me that I saw Hail Mary this weekend, which is fantastic.
Oh, you watched it? Yeah, it was great.
Oh, it's a great movie.
Yeah.
They did a really good, faithful adaptation. You can't, like, unless you wanted it to be 4 hours long, you probably couldn't have done
Some people
proper
don't-
justice to it.
Yeah,
It
some
could have
people
been a
don't
bit
like
longer.
movies. I like longer
I
movies.
do.
Yeah,
I thought it
yeah,
could have been
yeah,
30
yeah.
minutes longer. You
Yeah.
could have covered some more in the book, but it was fantastic. Unfortunately for ASTS, they did have, like, the launch of their latest satellite on Saturday was, like, kind of successful, but it didn't reach the proper orbit, so they had to de-orbit it, so it's a bit of a failure. That's why they're going to be down 12%. It's one of those, like, sort of tricky stories where, look, the thing didn't explode. It's not an abject disaster. It's like kind of an in-the-middle failure. And they've had a lot of success going into it. So I don't wonder if this one gets the baby thrown out with the bathwater. Because it already went right down and bounced off of prior support, bounced off of the 200 period moving average on the daily. Like, this one feels like if it doesn't break 72, that's exactly where you would have wanted it to bounce. And it wasn't a complete and total failure here. Like, this is not... It wasn't good, and obviously a negative story is a negative story, and this has been inflated and going so far. And really, when you had the Amazon, that Amazon deal last week, it kind of put a little bit of a negative spin on it. I know last week I even said, like, that turned it into a short, but to me, like, this could be a nice little place to look for the buy here at that 72 level. So ASTS is going to be on watch. The only space stock I'm really paying attention to. I guess Sidhu's moving around a little bit. And I do agree with, is that Girl Trader? Yeah, that'll be Girl Trader. I do think Rocket Lab is a better company. But if I'm looking at what to trade today, this has a catalyst, is going to do a bunch of volume, and is at a pretty key level. So, like, I had this on the radar to look at, but also ball doesn't lie for, like, you could just pull up the chart of Rocket Lab and see that one has been looking much better. Like, it's in the midst of a breakout, right? Like, already made the bounce, already making the break. ASTS, though, just has the catalyst going for it. It just happens to be a negative one.
Exactly. I mean, the big question for me this morning here is, are we going to have some form of a gap and go scenario, or are we going to start to recover a little bit? And I'm getting the recovery feel just due to the fact of how strong we were last week. So that's what I'm going to be looking. Bitcoin had a massive gap down as well too. Trading, I mean, it was pretty weak over the weekend, but still holding up. And essentially, this is what you want to see. Why can't I see this? So there's IBIT to the downside here. You're down 2.6%. So, I mean, we're slowly starting to enter that gap. And I think that's kind of going to be my narrative. Are we going to get some form of a pullback just before the open, and then we slowly grind higher on today's session? So it's across the board. I'm looking at the SPY and the NASDAQ as well. So we'll keep an eye out on Bitcoin just in case. And if we talk about the recovery on this, even though we're 17% off of the lows there, Neil, I would have liked to see a little bit more strength, to be honest with you, considering, like, I get it, it's 17%, but if we look at the price action, I would like to see one of those really strong days where you get that, like, 3-4% style of price action. You enter up into this gap. You can see we almost got to that $45 mark. And then there's a key resistance zone right around this $49 mark. I would have liked to see us curl over a little bit more aggressive and head into that neck of the woods. I don't think we're talking about short squeezes here just yet, but nonetheless, we'll keep our eye on Bitcoin to see if we get some form of a recovery here.
It's a good-looking chart break, that's for sure. And there's going to be plenty of small cappers out there with the psychedelics moving around. Hopefully, maybe you see one or two wheat stocks just for absolute jokes. And then I see Mike Phillip, not Mike P. Mike Phillip DeRider has eyeballs on Artello, which has done a boat of volume, up 50%. Randy with the plaid.
the shirt today, with the plaid, man.
Well, that's good because I have the one from last week that was all green.
That one's looking red.
Perfect.
Right.
I eat this one tomorrow. It is freezing outside. I picked the wrong day to shave the head bald. I had to break out the winter tooth.
No, man, we had to team up there, no?
Bald. I said, look, as long as I knew Bald Brotherhood was coming back, then I would shave my head. You didn't tell me last week.
Yeah, I know, I didn't tell you last week, man.
I had to, get it cleaned up last night.
That's all right.
Get that shine so I can blind you guys.
Yeah.
There, just do this, and all of a sudden you can't see. That's how I roll.
Distract them. Hockey error.
Speaking of hockey, okay, we're gonna go to the desk in a
Go
quick
back
little
to the
second.
desk, yeah.
Well, like, who do you think? Okay, first of all, give me a sleeper team to win the cup, and why is it?
Sleeper team?
And why is it the Sabres?
Yeah. You know what? But see, let's not get too ahead of ourselves. They have a good team. Why is it the Sabres? That's a great point, because I was going to say the Sabres because they were looking good. They were down yesterday. They came back. They won. But you know what it is? The way that I think a winning team is structured, and it's kind of similar to football, is like you start in the middle, build out. You start from the back end and you build out, right? So one of their more veteran players, Rasmus Dahlin, and then they acquired a big Canadian boy, Owen Power, who's like 6'7", roughly around that neck of the woods, just a big boy. And then they have Tage Thompson as well too. So they're big, they're rough, and they haven't made the playoffs for 14 years. So I mean, let's see if these guys win more than 2 rounds, that is going to be such a slap in the face to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah, I think so. But you know what? Buffalo's close to Toronto, so we'll take it if it happens. I see some people say Montreal, some people saying the Wild, the Blackhawks. That's the thing.
The Wild as
know.
well too. The Blackhawks aren't even in the playoffs.
Spin the chair. Well, it's like it's just a Blackhawks fan. I'm just reading what I see in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm just reading what I see in the chat. But
Wild look really good, yeah.
Because Toronto couldn't win.
Yep.
Like Canadian teams or Buffalo, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, well.
But Sharif, I know you like stocks or small cappers that are above the volume weighted average price.
Yes, Neil.
Is ARTL is the most indecisive VWAP traded stock I've seen in the pre-market. I've seen it. This thing gone back and forth above and below the volume weighted average price like a dozen times. But looking pretty strong here. And there's going to be a bunch to watch, but I think some of the good ones are actually in that psychedelic space after that, after the executive order from the president.
Yeah, a lot of strong ones there, Neil. DFTX, one that I'm fully involved in. It used to be called MindMed, by the way. Changed their name, also gapping up. Not as aggressively as some others. But ARTL here, Brendo, nice move up. It looks like there's a whole bunch of resistance at around 7 with that initial move up into 777. But as you mentioned, Neil, breaking down below the volume-weighted average price. Look, I mean, it's not the end-all and be-all, the situation with VWAP. What I do like about this is it's kind of holding 6. It's showing you that there are buyers at around that $6 area. In addition to that, it's kind of bull flag-ish with the lower end of the bull flag range right around 6. So if this one holds up, and it looks like it's making another move here to 7, definitely going to keep my eyes on this one.
I was just reading. We're 8 days away from the Fed, by the way.
Big.
By the way.
Kevin Warsh is in focus this week as well.
Yeah, so I mean, I was going to talk about oil a little bit, but I mean, the whole inflation conversation continues to rule the narrative here as we get a 6% jump in oil once again today. Heading towards this, yeah, I mean, what's going to happen going forward here? What's going to be the next step as far as the Fed is concerned? I mean, there's even, I don't know, have you ever heard of this nowcast? This inflation nowcast thing? So the Cleveland,
told me about
the
this.
Cleveland Fed, I think it is, puts out a now, it's like a real-time gauge of inflation in their region, more or less. And at the end of the year now, they're projecting an uptick once again to a point where hikes could potentially be back on the table. We've been having that conversation back and forth, but who's going to be running the Fed at that point?
That's a great question. Kevin Warsh is going to have to get admitted for or confirmed first by the Senate. That whole thing starts this week, by the way. But to add to your point, the Energy Secretary came out, I believe, yesterday and said, don't expect gas to be below $3 a gallon before the end of the year. So they're gauging $3 a gallon for the rest of the year. That obviously is going to have corollary effects on inflation, whether it's on food, whether it's on other items as well. So now, on this side of the border anyway, we are now talking about possible rate hikes going into the second half of the year. And that's not good at all for the housing economy. We have a lot of different mortgages that are come up for renewal that could be at higher rates. As opposed to what we were looking at maybe just like a few months ago. Yeah. So I'm assuming that down south they're going to encounter some of that as well.
So another hurdle for not only the market to get over, but another step in this process of where are things going to be, let's say 6 months from now, where are things going to be, down the road 8-10 months from now. Again, Tesla coming up. I said Thursday, it's Wednesday, it's not Thursday, so just slight correction on that. And then we'll get into the real heart of earnings reports coming up in a week and a half, 2 weeks in a second. Joe, you good? Joe is good. All right, let's get some options ideas over at the screen with Joe.
All right, guys, let's take a look at some of the activity in the derivatives world from last week. Yes, we're going to be looking at this 0 DTE SPY call. Substantial run that we've been on as of late, guys. So let's take a look at where we can see where we could potentially climb to, or if there's going to find some form of resistance and support zones. We're going to start off with this $715 mark right here on the SPY, guys. Open interest sitting at 715 as well. Volume 79,500, substantial, and that's going to be at this strike price, but expiring today, guys. We want to keep an eye out on that. Not worth very much, 52 and 53 on the bid and the ask, and then we have our delta as well too, guys. You can see, considering it's so far out of the money, it's going to be at that 18 metric, and then your gamma exposure is going to be relatively cool. Now, one thing that I really want us to focus on here is our implied volatility. We've seen this in the teens. It's dropped drastically. So what is this telling us? There's not very much fear within that market, okay? Within the market. So 9% is extremely cool, but we are talking about something that is way out of the money. Moving forward, let's take a look at our next contract. This is going to be this Oracle 155 put option. Now, open interest sitting around 2,250, but one thing I want us to know, it wasn't participating in Friday's rally. So what do we want to do? We want to be able to identify a potential bottom. This is going to be the most open interest on this week's expiration cycle. Now, as for the volume, relatively cool. We don't see too much options activity with Oracle, but this was outstanding, and it was about 5th or 6th in total volume throughout the derivatives options market. Now, once again, you can see we're sitting on a $2 spread here, guys. Our delta metric always going to be negative, but we almost have no gamma exposure. So unlike what we experienced just in the SPY with 9% implied volatility, very little fear, we're starting to see an uptick in the at-the-money IV with 51.6%. In Oracle, that's above its average, all right? So let's keep an eye out on Oracle. And once again, on Friday session, taking a little bit of a slide, not participating in the rally. Now, moving into some more contracts here, guys, of course, we want to look at NVDA. We are looking at this 202.5 strike price. Now, last week we absorbed there's multiple strikes and contracts that were valued and had open interest above 90,000 open contracts. This is relatively cool, and I wouldn't be surprised if we have the ability to absorb this throughout some time in the week, all right? So 202.5 is what we're going to be looking at, and it's going to be expiring this Friday. Open interest 64,900 with total volume around 25,400 contracts. Now let's take a look into small cap world. Volume relatively light at this $270 strike price. Once again, we're going to be looking at this Friday's expiration cycle, and open interest sitting around 9.25. So keep an eye out on this 270 level. Now, as for MSTR, a couple strong days last week as well too, guys. Open interest sitting around 36,500, and we're going to be looking at this 157.5 strike price. Volume 23,700 contracts open and closed on Friday session at that specific level. Let's keep an eye out on these three names and see if we're going to continue to climb and absorb all of this OI and maybe continue to climb after that, especially because we're leading into earnings report. Let's send it back to Neil.
As always, Joe, and the option market's got plenty of opportunities, but we know traders out there that want to scale. If you are one, can have a look at Prop Shop Trader. They're a multi-asset proprietary trading firm that's designed to remove the typical barriers that traders face. You can trade stocks without that patent day trading restriction and no licensing requirements, while also accessing futures markets within the same environment. Prop Shop Trader offers both day trading and swing trading programs, giving traders the flexibility to manage multiple accounts and deploy different strategies. So why risk your own capital when you don't have to? Scan the QR code to unlock 60% off your first account, plus buy one, get one free. Get started today. Scan that QR code you see right there. I want to thank them for sponsoring that part of the show. And look, I like that Oracle. The thing about Oracle, the bottom was in, right? Like it held at how long? able to hold at 140 and then you eventually get the breakout. Think about any kind of a bottoming pattern and relief rally, whatever it might be. It's not like it's linear and only going to go up. So you had to turn, it did a 180, let's just say at 180 bucks on Friday. I'll get that pun out of the way. And the question becomes, how far is the dip going to be? So it's a pretty instructive, I don't want to say instructive day, it's an instructive week here for Oracle after the rally, because the market's done so much, and yes, percentage-wise, it's gotten a lot off the top, but holding on to like the prior high here at 165, that'll be a pretty big key for today on a stock like this. Like it's going to matter, because there's a difference between some shorts covering and a small relief rally and buyers emerging on this when the dip comes right back in. Like, you know, the good stocks, people are going to buy the dip when they start to come back. And it's not to say that Oracle's not a good stock. It's just that entire IVG and all the software names, they've just been so weak. And you want to see some buyers step in at a key price like that 165. So this is a pretty big litmus test for it. I'm not sure, we don't look, the market is what, 0.3 to the downside. So to sit here and think that, okay, automatically we're going to get a test $8 lower on Oracle, maybe that'll be tomorrow. Whether we have enough volatility for it to get to that bounce zone today doesn't really matter for the longer term, but that's the area to look at for myself on Oracle this week. And I just saw we've got our good friend back this Monday. I kind of hope that the weather out east for Michael Noss was a little more reasonable than it was for us all over the place here in the GTA. But we got the Noss boss on a Monday. Interested to see what he's looking at. We go a lot of ways here. There's crypto. Obviously, oil is going to be back in play. The overall market just making all-time highs. This would be a good topic. So I'm curious. We're just going to sit back and pay attention.
Straight to the upside. That's the NASDAQ right now. I'll steal Michael's chart before he even comes on the show this morning. Straight to the upside here for, 2 weeks? I mean, barely
13 days.
Barely a downtick for anything across the board. We were talking about this with someone else last week on the show a little bit. It kind of feels like, and even if you go back to last April, it kind of feels like that move off the April lows where we took back all the moving averages. There was a slight little retracement. And if you didn't buy that retracement, we were back at all-time highs in a flash, and everyone was kind of saying, what's going on? So, we're living this once again where, I mean, even people, I was talking to a few last week, even people who did buy on the way down are now sitting here going, man, I wish I, backed the truck up, obviously. But maybe just talk about it from a technical standpoint. First off, the ferocity of and the ferociousness of this move back higher.
Yeah, the best way I heard described was a lockout rally, which if you didn't buy, you're locked out. And what I think is driving this more than anything, a lot of people have been saying short squeeze, and yeah, that's probably part of it. But I think even more than that, it's career risk, and career risk is a huge deal. Where you're getting calls from clients saying, "Man, I hope you bought the dip," and imagine being a hedge fund manager that didn't buy the dip, or even worse, saw war and oil prices going crazy and something, and sold some and puked some out at the lows, and now this has happened. You got a lot of explaining to do, I think, to clients. So I think that's the main driver here. Just taking a look at the SPY or the Qs, right? This is right what Brendan said. This is obviously, everyone's watching this chart. Absolutely crazy. But I thought bringing in a little indicator would actually kind of show us how crazy this has been and potentially what could happen next. So the next chart is this, and this is I think they call it a shark fin chart. I think it's a really cool idea, but the best way to describe the chart on the bottom is the whole how many days without an accident that you've seen at your workplace, and then someone, hurts themselves and they have to pull it down. Every day that goes by that the Qs is up on the day makes a higher close than the day before it. This chart goes up and up and up. The first down day, it resets back to zero. So you can see most of the time, you get, a couple up days, a couple down days, mostly kind of mixed back and forth. And then you see, again, 13 days of higher closes in a row all the way up. So as always, the beauty of it is now that we've kind of built an indicator and contextualized it, it's going to be real easy to go back in the chart and find a handful of examples of, what happens next. Does the market just reverse and, turn all the way down? Generally what happens when we get these huge moves. So this next chart is just the Qs really zoomed out. We're going all the way back to like 2017 here. And I just drew that purple line to say, okay, how many times have we done this? And you can see in roughly this 10-year span, there's been 2 other times. We're going to go back to 2008 here to find times that have been this many consecutive slow grinds higher. And I think that's should be telling us something, right? That this is a rare event that's happening, and we should treat it as such. So next, we're just going to go through each of the charts kind of individually and just show different times in which this happened. This first one, I don't think should surprise anyone. This was the end of 2020. So we had that 2020, 2021 rip. This is the first time I think we had 11 up days in a row on the Qs. You can see eventually one pretty sizable downtick day, but was nowhere near the top. We continued to grind right all the way until 2022, where we had the Ukraine and Russia and inflation and Fed rates and all of that. But it certainly, you got one day when this trend break to either cover your shorts if you're short or buy something there until it continued to perk up. This next one here was in 2019. So 2017 and 18, there was some bear market activity there. 2019, you can see, again, huge rip higher. What's interesting is both of these, none of these happened at the lows. They all happened in kind of well-established trends already. But so far, they didn't happen near the highs either. This, you had kind of 2 down days and then off to the races again. So very short-lived pullback after that. The next chart here is down to 2017. This is the first one that was kind of toppy, right? We chop around for a period of time there. And then we have, 2018, which was a bit of a mess, but wasn't the top, right? This was the first one I saw that was near a little bit of a correction, but certainly wasn't a top, a nice kind of sideways chop after that. And then last but not least, we're going back to 2013. And then again, if you have to go further back to 2008 to even really get any of these. And again, this one, it's like, I think the only one that I found that was 13 days up in a row. And then we had the 1 down day, maybe a little bit of a chop, and then off to the races. So I love doing this. It's generally a rare event that you look back and say, this crazy thing has really not happened very much before. But it feels like this year, and it's only April, I'm coming to you guys all the time with, hey, this crazy thing that never happened. Let's go see how many times we can find facsimiles of. And I think it's a really important exercise to do, to ground yourself. And you can see, wasn't generally the bottom, which we're seeing now, but in no cases there was at the top.
It seems just visually, anyways, watching along there as you were going through some of those, the over, I don't know, are we calling this an overbought condition or whatever the actual condition is we're in according to this chart, also gets worked off very, very quickly, within, as you showed there a couple of times, 2 or 3 days, and we're right back to essentially zero. And there's still, all kinds of demand then as we go, maybe a few days of chop, as you said, and then off to the races once again. I just wanted to go back to this chart real quick, just to highlight the simple fact that, as crazy as last April felt, or that move that followed off the lows of last April, it's nowhere near to the intensity level as what we just witnessed in the past 2 weeks. So if you're sitting on the sidelines kind of feeling, maybe you missed the opportunity, I don't think you're alone at this point.
No, we at least rested when we got to all-time highs last time. The V bottom was quick, but when we got back to that all-time high, we hung out there for a week or so. And really, even after the tariff tantrum kind of taco or walk back there, it had that huge, like 10% from low to high day. but then it rested for a week or so. There was 2 or 3 opportunities in 2025 where you had a chance to kind of buy some or at least trade around a base or something. But yeah, in this case, there's been none of that. It was the lows were in, and then again, on the Qs anyway, 13 days the upside. The only reason I didn't do the SPY is because technically there was, I think, 1 or 2 down days. But when I looked at them, it was like down by 1/8 of 1% or something. They were barely down days. But yes, we haven't really seen this in any of the things that I've looked at when I was looking at how many days up in a row we've had. This is definitely unprecedented. There's generally some rest when you get back to an all-time high, people taking profits, some people trying to short or something. But in this case, you're locked out. And it's just important to note that I think, even though you don't get much of an opportunity in the past to get in on this one, it feels like FOMOing in here is just not going to be, even if it would work, it's just not going to be the right move.
So the lesson then, or is the lesson, I guess, if we get maybe today, tomorrow, a couple of days even in a row here, that we're maybe just back and forth even, we could be back to a state where the buying starts to come back in again.
Yeah, I think you're in a situation where if anyone's short, any kind of a downtick, they're going to have to use that opportunity to get out. If you're not long enough with the whole career risk thing, I think you're in the same boat. I'm going to be interested, and I'll probably bring this on Friday, to see what the commitment of trader data says when that comes in, to see if people actually got positioned for this rally. But my assumption, based off what we're seeing, is that nobody was ready for this.
I read an interesting, this is completely unrelated, but I read an interesting article on the weekend about at the end of last year, I guess it was more Q3 into Q4, a lot of people were talking about the simple fact that there was so much money that had been put into, T-bills and bonds, and when that started to come off and interest rates started to come down again, was going to need an opportunity, or going to, see an opportunity to be shifted back into equities. And here we are, we just absolutely rocketed for 13 straight days. To me, that means there's still all kinds of demand, and there's still all kinds of money on the sidelines, just, hoping and waiting and praying for any kind of a downtick to buy. Maybe this is, an indication that, we take a break, but, we're right into earnings season now too. So we could be, getting all kinds more catalysts to head back up.
Yeah, I think the number was 7 trillion that was just waiting in money markets. And, when you're making 5-6% on your money, especially, someone who's risk averse, maybe retired or whatever it is, that's pretty good. But we know that the mandate of the new Fed that's coming in is going to be to lower rates kind of regardless of what happens. That shift seems likely. If I go from making 5-6% on my bonds and now I'm only making 2-3%, barely beating inflation on my bonds, I think I'm more likely to take that and put it into stocks, and that's the relentless bid.
And we just had a 8+% rally in stocks over the past couple of weeks. So yeah, I mean, fascinating time. Not something that we've seen, not something that we've dealt with for a long, long time. So we'll see how things play out. But yeah, let's talk some short side on Friday. We'll see you then.
Talk to you then. Have a good week.
Fantastic stuff always by Mr. Michael Nuss. All right, guys, let's take a look at some of the analyst actions here this morning. We're going to kick things off with Avis Budget Group. This thing was insane and has been on a big-time squeeze. I was looking at the options chain on Friday on this, $1,000 spread on a couple of strike prices, something I've never seen before. Implied volatility absolutely through the roof. You're looking at triple digits there, guys. It's getting a downgrade this morning. You're down 3.4%, going from equal weight to underweight by Barclays. GitLab also getting the downgrade as well, too, guys. 2.4%, $33 price target being lowered to $25, and with a sector perform rating by RBC Capital. GTLB is that ticker. Now, NXPI Semiconductors, you're down 0.5%. Price target being lowered from $235 to $265. Sorry, that's an increase, but with an equal weight rating by Wells Fargo. Skyworks also getting the downgrade as well, too, guys. $60 to $46. You're down 2% here this morning. Mizuho giving that downgrade. Now for some more positive note, Oscar, or we'll start off with Ulta Beauty, guys. We're up about 0.9%. Target going from a hold to a buy by Jefferies. And then we have Okta on the list a couple of times last week as well, too. 1.6% this morning. Price target increased from $85 to $90 by Barclays. Now, as for some more, we got Oscar Health getting the nod. You're only down about a quarter this morning. Price target being increased to $16 from $10, and with a hold rating by Jefferies. Biogen also getting the nod, guys. Target with $250 and an overweight by Wells Fargo. Let's send it back to the desk.
Thanks, Joe. And man, I see in the chat like va-va-voom, vroom, boom, car, like Avis going crazy. That chart is insane, all that good stuff. You can downgrade it all you want. The squeeze is a squeeze. What's crazy about this, if you look at it from the 150 breakout, so we're just talking like the insanity of 150 to 500. There's like 2 days. There's only 2 days. And one of them barely even counts, as Joe's messing with his chair, where this thing made a low in the first half an hour and then broke that low later in the session. Like you can obviously find like right here and then that pullback. Both of those days, it closed higher, which is insane. Like even when it loses the bid, it can lose. The stock is complete insanity.
It's dangerous. I wouldn't be playing around with it with options just yet. There's some things that you can potentially do, and I mean that is going to be patient. I think that's the most important teller. I was talking about the options chain on it. I don't know if we can get any data on it right now, but we'll see if we can.
I found it seems like everybody's looking for it to unwind, but really, until, like, if you just keep looking at all of these dips, anytime it's made, like, here, this is it makes the fresh low.
Brother, you have to.
And then the trend break, gonzo.
Look at this.
It's complete insane. It's still
200% implied volatility and $1,000 spreads.
And over 40% short float at this point, which has got to be turning. It's got to be turning.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen that personally, $1,000 spread. Like you can see it even more as you head a little bit lower on the chain, which I think is absolutely insane. So I mean, if you are like, hey man, if you have it, then and if you're that risk adverse, you can take a swing. I don't think necessarily that we're going to hold up this long. At some point things will cool down, but are you going to be the first ones to stand in front of that freight train that's just been absolutely squeezing? Well, no, you want to be a little bit more patient.
Trust me, you're also not the first. Like people have been getting run over by this over and over again. My thought is this:
to re-engage, right? Like, are you like, hey man, I don't know about that.
There's hedgies out there that are getting smoked. If you're a retail trader, I don't know how you can be trying to play this to the south side. I think the one thing I would look at would be, Randy in the house with the reload. Thanks, brother. Man. Did you need a coffee?
No, I'm okay. I'm good. Yeah. Don't tempt me with a good time. All right, brother. I appreciate
Thanks, Randy. Appreciate you. I just feel like the days that it's broken down and then it just does this reversion back to the top, simple. If it makes a fresh low after the opening range and closes underneath the opening range, the next day look for the short. Like allow it to break this pattern of even when it makes a fresh low later, it's still gonna close near the high or close in the green. Let it do it once. Let it not be an easy dip buy one time and then look for the short. Because when this unwinds, it's probably not gonna matter if you miss the first $100 of it. I'm laughing to say it, but that's probably true.
It's very true.
It's not going to matter because if it's coming back to 2 bills and it could break 500 shades, it's just a lot of room for this bad boy to run. So it's one of the crazy ones.
Like 385% since it started to squeeze.
Exactly. It's complete insanity. By the way, I know there's a lot of people, if you're trickling in right now and you're just sort of, you've woken up, you see the market down, then Marvell gapped up, understand this Alphabet story, we had JP Morgan come out essentially saying that that's fugazi. Like they don't believe, they're like Alphabet's talking to everybody and that this isn't an exclusive thing that Marvell's got this chip design with Alphabet. So it was up over, it was in the low 150s. It has been trending down most of the morning, but there is some dispute as to whether that story is actually true. So keep that in mind when you're looking at this. I feel like because when I sat down, I was like, oh, like this is, like it was almost like going to be a pretty clear, you get back and break 150. This is the only strong stock out there that isn't a psychedelic. But I don't really feel that anymore now that there's some question on the deal. Like I'm not automatically looking for green just because it's relatively strong. Just be careful when you're looking at Marvell.
Sharif's like, what stock is this here? Like
craziest chart in the market right now.
I don't know, man. Almost 400%. Like you said, Neil, what is it to miss the first $100, which is going to put you right around here?
Yeah, it won't.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing gets cut in half at some point. So just be patient. Look at the volume by time as well, too, really starts to kick in. I don't have my little circle thingy there. But anyways, aside from that, this is a substantial amount, and that's an absolutely insane run. Like, what do you do? Like, I mean, if you're caught short, let's zoom out a little bit actually on this name and see what we have, because okay, so here it is. We have another weird event on the weekly, Neil. I don't know what's going on here from a split or something along those lines, but we climb up to 545.
Oh, it did a squeeze before.
Yeah.
It squeezed before.
18, and then you drop 90%, and then you decide to go on another squeeze. But if you've been holding, and you're like, oh, okay, cool. You're short, I don't know, you're not going to be short this for a couple of years anyways. But aside from that, it's like, okay, cool, yeah, we got a flat bottom break. Oh, okay, yeah, never mind that. We're going to continue to climb higher. And then, oh, yeah, we're going to actually squeeze and go on this month run because this is a weekly chart. So think about it, 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks right there, and you climb all the way to a high of $500. Man, it's just an absolute squeeze, and I think you have to be extremely cautious with this one. You do have to be extremely cautious with this one.
Yeah, before we throw back to the desk, a quick note of this Adobe here. Unveils agents for business amid threat to AI disruption. You see them up about a couple of points. It was a little bit higher. One of the names that has gotten off of the bottoms in the software space, although not very far off of the lows, but there is a bit of a catalyst here today, already starting to go a bit to the downside. You're going to see a few of these names rolling around here. I know you got ServiceNow was actually gapped up, and it got a little bit of sympathy on that headline. So saw ServiceNow, Adobe, the market's trending a little bit higher here, so it's starting to look a little bit better. I think there's a decent chance we could get to green. Like, I'm looking at USO. Like, this was the weird thing. When I sat down this morning, it's like I really did think there'd be a better chance that we would have been gapped above prior support on USO. It's like you came to, if we don't break 123, it'll be hard to like the shorts. I even said that in the note. Like if we break 123, then all shorts, almost every single short I'm gonna like. But you're gonna lean into some of the places of strength. I'm looking at that Tesla. I don't think we get like the mid 380s. Probably not gonna happen. But if we can't get above 123, to me, support to resistance is one of the sort of foundational strategies or things to look at, and that's exactly what I'm seeing here on USO. So that's giving some strength to the market. If we don't break 123, I think the NASDAQ goes green today, but it's only 852. USO could do that in the first minutes.
Well, that's what I'm thinking too, right? Like we'll keep an eye on USO. Obviously, you have the inverse correlation, and then maybe you get somewhat of a recovery and you fill this gap down. So I think that's going to be the narrative on today's session. So I'm going to be looking long unless price action tells me otherwise. If we really start to tank and it's a gap and go type scenario, then you know what? You take the couple attempts to the long side, you allow consolidated bases to be formed, and then if not, then it's maybe, hey, I gotta fade some of these pops here and look for a continuation. All right, guys.
We got JKL with the super chat. I guess is that what we're gonna play when we have a super chat? Okay,
yeah.
I like that. Every time I hear that, it makes me like.
It sounds like the EV Jewel.
Yeah.
Right?
It's breaking news. Yard work recovery day report. Okay, well, you know what? Glad the weather was nice enough for you to do the yard work. Couldn't really pull that off yesterday here. Hard market to read. Staying short queues may look at shorting MSTR as well.
Okay.
People are too excited to the upside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what? There's a few names out there that I like. I was going to be bearish on Intel regardless. Well, yeah, based on what happened on Friday. And Intel was a great long on Friday, don't get me wrong. Like, Intel was like Intel and IBIT were really good longs on Friday, but you got to keep an open mind today. Thank you for the report, for sure. And I just saw, oh, that's one that we do not talk about nearly enough, Rivian Millionaire. Another software name that's catching a bid. There's a few of these, like it's just, if you're looking for things that are up 1%, up 2%, it's a lot of these software plays, like IBM's gonna be up. We talked about ServiceNow, Adobe. There's a bunch that are actually holding on to some strength. Probably not a day trade. This needs to take out 60, like the low 60s here on IBM. Kind of a boringly.
How does Caterpillar look these days?
The thing about Caterpillar, I love Caterpillar. It's one of my biggest non-tech holdings.
That's crazy.
One more. Thank you. But anyway, that was actually perfect. No, but the thing about it is, I feel like it's a little bit pricey at this point. Like they win in a lot of ways. They win on data centers. They win on things need to be rebuilt, and when that happens, Caterpillar wins there too. But like it's just gotten a little bit pricey. The fact that we couldn't push through the highs when the market did shows you like there's a lot of resistance in front of 800 on this stock. So I feel like it might be pulling back first before it makes another run. It was just a lot of heavy sell action.
I have it trading at 41 times right now.
That's what I'm saying. It's not. Yeah. It is not a cheap stock. Like it's not a cheap. I love it. It's not a cheap stock. I love Walmart. It's not a cheap stock. But that's the thing. You have good stocks in your portfolio. They're the highs. Like I love GE Vernova, which I've said for a bunch of times. But I wouldn't buy that one up at the top either. I think those are like stocks that you can maybe pick up on some dips. So, just because. And that said, like momentum is momentum. The trend has been your friend. You don't usually lose buying at highs because that shows you a stock has been in a good upward trend. But that one feels a bit pricey to me.
Yeah,
that 800 level. So. The 800 level just got failed on Friday. That's the other thing too.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm a big. We don't talk about this name enough. I think, Neil. And if you can guess where I'm going with this, then I'll be surprised. But it's this, right? I don't know.
I agree.
Right? I feel like this name should be talked about a little bit more. We went on a nice gap up here, but we're down 5% off of its highs. If we're talking about dip buying banks, dip buying some other strong industrials like Caterpillar as of late, why are we not talking about dip buying some of these staples? And I think Walmart you have to kick things off with Walmart. I mean, dividend as well, Costco, it was off of those lows starting to recover. It's been damaged a little bit more, but 7.25 isn't bad considering these guys were planning on suing the United States government and having that rift with Donald Trump on the fact on behalf of tariffs, essentially. So, hey, the fact that they were going through this, and then we have Walmart also down about 5%. It's like, okay, there is a bull market somewhere, and that was in staples. We've seen that rotation out of tech and into some of these staples names and into the industrials. I think that's going to be the same narrative. If you start to see some things cool down, why not find that flight to safety? And I think that kicks off with Walmart, in my opinion. I think it's a fantastic name.
I'm just not sure it's pulled back far enough. I'm always about if it's the dip buy in the long term, then I'm either looking at the weekly or the monthly, sometimes the daily, but usually the weekly or the monthly chart. And whichever moving average, it's the one that historically is held. And when Walmart broke back out, it was like 2023 or so. Like it just started, the weekly just started to hold to 50. And then the 50 hold was also the tariff tantrum. And then you look at it accelerated, but there was dips holding the 50 period on the weekly. And the thing about the weekly time frame is, if you can, what did I just do? Oh, I hate when that happens. I accidentally zoomed in. So when you look at like a test here, like it'll do this wick breaking support at $100. And on a weekly chart, there's your reversal candle in front at the 100, and then the next week, it opens at like 102.6. So you barely even miss that bottom, and you get to wait on a weekly chart. You get to wait like days to get in, and usually not miss it. And so on that time frame, I love it. It's like there's your the support at 100, support at 100, wick underneath, close. Then you've got that dip buy. It's showed you a sign that it's holding on trend. I'm just not sure it pulled back far enough this time. And you said it's very expensive relative to peers. So sometimes you can be patient with those. But
45 times.
100p. Like I love Walmart. I've been in it for a while, and it's definitely one that I dip by. It's almost 9 o'clock, everybody.
Ooh.
And that means we need to maybe get into some futures. We got a free watch list we're going to roll on into. So I'm going to sit back. We'll throw it to the desk. I'll have another sip of this refill that we got from our good friend Randy and Plaid.
Before we do that, I just wanted to mention real quick, there was a couple of things on Tesla that just came through. Jefferies was one of them with a positive note here. It looks like raising their price target 350 to 300. We're going to talk about Tesla here coming up on the rundown here. But Stifel as well, just seeing price target raise here for AMD as well. So 320 up to 280. So both Tesla and AMD just, I was hearing in my ear. Tesla robotaxi expanding as well. Morgan Stanley with a note just coming out reaffirming their equal weight rating, 415 target on Tesla as well. So a whole bunch of stuff, just a bit of a dump there ahead of 8 o'clock, it looks like, from the analyst side of things. So we'll get into Tesla.
What a week AMD had last week.
Crazy.
Because of Taiwan Semi. Taiwan Semi reports, and the market reads through that they're going to, basically AMD is going to be buying up a storm from them. So good look for AMD there last week.
Buy everything.
Highs, by the way. Huh?
Yeah.
All right, guys, 7.10 is where we closed out on the SPY on Friday. We're down 1/3%, barely below 707, around 708. So look, we're just going to say Friday's level, which was all-time highs, of course, on the SPY. That's going to be our first level of resistance. If we can get back above that 710, fantastic. We know what comes after that. It is a blue sky setup, meaning that we've never tested prices at that level. If we sell off for whatever reason, the overnight lows are right around 705. That's going to be our first level of support. If something happens with the Middle East and, the tensions start really rising again, we're looking at that 700 even, Brendo. That's going to be our second level of support.
All right, if you haven't done so yet, make sure you grab this. Absolutely free, right to your inbox every single morning. Link is below in the description. Sign up link down below. It's the second one. We'll take you right to the page. You need just your email, and then you can have the watch list every single day. Has all the news stories that matter every single morning in the pre-market. Then you come join us at 8 a.m. We'll get you set for the open. Again, more earnings pre-market tomorrow, next day as well. So we'll cover those for you before 8:30 as they come through. Let's talk Marvell here. I zoomed out onto a daily chart just to give you a little bit of perspective going into this, what has happened. I mean, the market has just been an absolute rocket ship over the past couple of weeks, but Marvell, just absolutely amazing move here. Again, if you missed the story, there was a chip arrangement apparently with Google. Now it's more of a, well, yeah, they like Google, but they're also going to talk to other people as well.
Well, exactly. The strategic ambiguity. Let's just go with that. So if you believe the report, here it is. Google is in discussions with Marvell to develop 2 new chips. We're talking about one with a memory processing unit and then another next-gen TPU, tensor processing unit. The tensor processing unit is Google's custom ASIC and their basically approach to really increasing the efficiency of inference workloads. Google continues pushing TPUs as a direct alternative to NVIDIA's GPUs, or targeting costs as well as efficiency advantages, and Marvell benefits from this because they're a custom silicon partner, not just in the design of chips, but also in photonics and networking. That's another part of the stack you need to view Marvell from. And the timeline here, memory chip design could be complete by next year. We're talking about the chip design, meaning near-term impact is narrative-driven, not revenue-driven, as the revenue probably will not see the light until end of 27, possibly early 28. The bigger picture, though, Brendo, this strengthens the AI CapEx cycle. Lots been made about, that maybe coming to an end or not as aggressive spending into the future. This kind of invalidates that narrative, at least for the moment. And by the way, guys, what you guys are looking at right here is the revised morning note. We'll zoom out a little bit. So we're going to be really focusing more on technical analysis. Just 1/3, Brendo, of the actual page is dedicated to the story. The other 2/3, you're looking at technical levels and the setup, how to get in. You want to swing trade? Fine. We're going to look at the 4-hour. You don't want to swing trade? You want to trade intraday? We're looking at the 15. So there's something for everybody.
Lots to cover on every single morning, obviously on a very detailed basis. If you want that one, it's $5 a month. It's nothing. It's a coffee. It's the membership on YouTube. We'll get you that right on the main YouTube page. I was just noting here, we got a ways to go to get to Marvell's earnings report, Thursday, the 21st of May. So a few weeks out until we get Marvell's earnings, guys, but this is definitely going to help.
Yeah, you know, when you sit down and this story looks like it's gonna be all systems go and you have a bit of a blue sky setup, and you can even look on Shreve's note, that 150 resistance was sort of sitting right in there for potential breakout because we had pulled back after a pretty active overnight session for Marvell. With the question as to whether or not, you know, specifically this Google thing is going to go for them, I just don't know that I want to be buying this gap. Like, there's a few already, like AMD is already back to green and approaching 280. Like, it's just absolutely flying. I know for sure where I'm looking in Intel, and we've already talked about that one. But I'm inclined to say if they're calling this story not true, then it better prove it over 150 bucks for me. Or I'd probably wait until it tries to fill in the gap. It feels like this one could be a little bit trappish. Like, there might be some traders that only see the original headline and aren't really looking at that report from JP Morgan, and maybe there's a little bit of a sucker buy at the open that gets taken out. So if I don't see buyers over 150, I think a little bit more patience with this and let it fill in more of the gap would make some sense. Maybe down into the 140, 142 zone, where it would just be like a standard relative strength play as opposed to a chase, right? Like, the reason why it was at $150 is in question specifically this morning. So I don't want this one long at 930 per se. I feel like that could be a little bit trappish.
Yeah, I think so too, Neil. Considering I was looking for a potential short to fill down that gap, essentially, off of that news. Considering we don't know if it's 100% true, they're just saying Google obviously shopping around. We have Broadcom and Celestica as well, moving to the downside with the overall market. You can see Celestica, not very liquid here, 393, but you get that gap down. And same thing here with Broadcom. I think it's important to note, right? Like, if these guys are going to go off, then what Marvell is essentially doing is like, okay, so if they're going to start to recover, then what are we going to get here in Marvell? Shreve was talking about this thing was up to 151 plus in Blue Ocean. If this support level starts to break and you see sellers start to step in, then maybe you get somewhat of a gap fill here, guys. But I think essentially we also have to take into consideration the fact that this thing's up 82% from March. Right, this is a substantial run. 1, 2, 3. Like, alongside the overall market, you have just a ridiculous green streak going on here. You gap up, continue, and you just continuously close green day after day. At some point, you're going to have one of these extended moves, and I'm going to use this example here. And I don't think it's the same scenario, but if you guys remember this day all the way back in like 2020 something on in AMD. In March of 2024, do you remember? It's just like, oh, cool, look at this massive run we've been on, and then sure enough, it goes into a multi-year bear market. I'm not saying that's the case, but what we can look at it from a price action standpoint is like, at one point, you're gonna have that day, and we've seen it in silver, we've seen it in USO, where everyone's exuberant, they're offloading the shares, and then you kind of get that reversal type. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we had it in AMD, we've seen it in silver, where it's up 20% or 15% one day, the next day it's down 20%. Like, do you guys remember this on silver, which was all fantastic? It was all fun and games until it wasn't, right? You have this massive update, you gap up, you open up here, you gap up once again, and then it's just flush city after that. I'd just be cautious of those really strong consecutive runs, and then you have that exhaustive volume step in about a month or so after it's all started, and then people start selling, their outlook isn't as bullish.
All right, let's move on to a couple other things here that are going to be interesting, I think, in the coming days and months here. I was still admiring Marvell here, but ASTS, as we said, to start things off, horrible week last week, more downside here this morning once again. But as we get closer and closer towards this Starlink and SpaceX IPO, I think this group is still going to benefit as a group from that tremendously.
Now, I always ask Joseph on the midday, and I want to ask you as well. If we're really, like, genuinely going to get satellite to device, direct 5G, are the telecom companies a short? I mean, why would SpaceX, ASTS, Blue Origin, whomever, want to partner up with them except for the specific reason that they have the pool of users that they can tap into. And the example that Joseph was giving was they're going to become like the Uber of autonomous driving, where Uber's like, look, we're not going to spend any CapEx on AV, but you have an AV platform, we're all ears, come on over. And so this is really what concerns me about the Verizons, the whatever they have there, AT&T. We have plenty of that I wouldn't mind seeing go to zero as well. You do here, Brenda. Quite frankly, they take a lot of money. But here's the story. So AST Space Mobile, they suffered a major setback as a satellite launched via Blue Origin was placed in the wrong orbit and will be deorbited, effectively a total loss. The cost is expected to be covered by insurance, but the real issue is here the timeline delay and the credibility hit. So the incident highlights obviously the dependence that ASTS and others have on the launchers like SpaceX, of course, and in this case, Blue Origin. ASTS is still targeting, Brendo's 45 satellites by the end of this year. They only currently have 6 in orbit. The bull case remains intact long term, but the near term narrative is, can they deliver, especially since they don't control the launch cadence?
And as you said, how is that going to affect the telecom in general space? But I mean, if you zoom out here, not only did we not go up, we did not go down either, which productive, guys.
Definitely. Just before we get into ASTS, so you just had, and I guess we're going to be in this world where we're looking at oil futures a little bit more today, like we were on Friday, but the same levels that we fell through on Friday morning, I guess I could do that. We just had a bit of a flush is the wrong word, but support break there on USO, taking out that 121 level. It got down to 120. You would have seen the spike up in the futures. Everything I was looking at went upside. Like silver had a bump, Intel had a bump, IBIT had a bump. So if you didn't move higher there just now, then you're probably in trouble. That's the way I look at it. Like everything seemed to lift the offer just a bit. ASTS, look, it's a setback. You can't really spin this into good news. That being said, it's not the total failure type of story, I would think, in this particular case. They have had a lot of success. The CEO sort of said the right things, reiterated all their targets are still, they haven't really changed in terms of launches for the rest of the year. So you have that going for it. The second part is it did initially bounce, or it has initially bounced off prior support, which would be the only place that it had bounced under 75 before at 72. It bounced off the 200 period moving average. So a lot of things work for it well. And that as long as 72 holds, I think you see a bit of a relief rally here in ASTS. So like I'm not really thinking bearish on this unless it loses 72 and then all bets are off. But it's going to open possibly SSR. It could easily bounce 1.5% before 9:30. If it's got an SSR on it, then I want like a reversion long off of 72 for sure. Otherwise, it's just kind of like a leave it in the back kind of idea. And I only now just realized the next topic there.
Yeah.
That's a first for us.
Yeah, shrooms. Yeah, that's. I mean, I don't know what happened to all the stores around here. I don't know if they still exist in the city. Anyways, aside from that, guys, I mean, this one didn't go as planned, but they're looking to launch about 8 to 10 more in the next 30 days, and then 45 total by the end of 2026. So, I mean, it's not off to a great start, but I think at some point things will start to recover. It's rebounding right now, Neil. So ASTS starting to get a bounce, probably with the overall market. It's not the end of the world. I mean, obviously, if things don't go as planned the first time around, you have multiple more attempts, as we were just referring to. You're going to launch about 10 more, so you can meet quotas hopefully by the end of the month, and then 45 of them by the end of 2026. So you have another 8 months or so. This is starting to climb up. You can see on the 5-minute time frame, you bounce. You have a massive gap down. This is a pretty hefty hit. Especially at the lows, you gap down 15%. Especially with the name, I mean, it hasn't really been doing too much, right? Shout out to, I think Ramin has this as one of her picks. But look at this consolidation. So you're not going to break higher with the overall market. Instead, you're going to have a negative headline come out, and then you gap down. So, I mean, at some point, if the support level, there is a bigger structure at $77 here, Neil, that may hold up. So we'll keep our eyes on that one. Neil was just talking about USO starting to to trade lower. And then sure enough, before we even get to open, Neil, we're essentially filling this gap here, right? Like we've tapped into it. I was looking at Tesla as well too. Tesla's pretty much filled that gap, and then some. So I mean, something that I was thinking was going to happen in the intraday has already happened in the pre-market. So we don't love being overextended in the pre-market. So we'll have to keep our eyes out and see if we're going to start to form somewhat of a fade on the intraday session. We're going to have to look for relative strength. And I mean, IBIT, I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case, but one name that Neil brought up to me is AMD. AMD, yeah, absolutely monstrous right now. AMDL, a 2x leverage if you're looking to use that. But ASTS, going to launch some more, so we might see some more headlines step out in kind of in this realm. So other than that, keep our eyes open. We'll keep our ears to the ground, as Neil and Sean typically say. But let's send it back to the desk. Oh.
Timed that perfect.
I mean, it's not weed, but it's close. It's close enough.
That's as verbal as it gets. I don't know.
I mean, the whole group benefiting. CMND actually has its own news story here, up big time. I mean, all of these are basically $1 or somewhere in that neighborhood of $1. But psychedelics just on a huge run over the past few days, following this bill signing going back to last week.
And this is one of the reasons we were so bullish on this space when Robert F. Kennedy was designated Human and Health Services Secretary, Brendo, for exact reason, because he had made his opinions quite clear on this space earlier on. And then we all saw it, him standing behind President Trump with Joe Rogan and others on Friday after President Trump signed the executive order to fast-track FDA reviews as well as boost federal funding for certain treatments. You had big movers, ATAI up 26%, DFTX, the former Mindman, up 14%, CMPS up 24%. There's lots. FDA has been instructed vis-a-vis this EO to prioritize breakthrough therapy designations. That means the review timelines could shrink from 6 to 10 months down to 1 to 2 months. That's a much shorter window. Additional tailwind, they're going to get $50 million in federal funding to help with research. And the narrative shift, this shifts it from more of a speculative, maybe this works in biotech, maybe they get federal funding, maybe they get regulatory clarity, into no, now they're getting it. So let's see where this goes. Obviously, we need a lot more research to see, if this is a real deal, but the technicals look pretty good.
It's going to take a while, I think, for these to start to look like, something that can be constructive over time, as you said. But I mean, if you zoom out on any of the charts of these on a daily chart or whatever, okay, they're ugly. All right, I get it. It's not good. I mean, they all kind of look like that. Yeah, exactly. But heading in the right direction, I think, is the key here, guys.
Good thing is, like, DFTX, which is formerly MyMed, is because our chart only takes it from when they did the change, it actually looks really good. So like this chart looks great because it ignores when it was MindMed and only takes it from the name change, which makes it look like one of the most bullish charts out there. So maybe that makes you like the long better. But volume here would be the concern for me. Like this has done 190,000 shares. I was looking at Help, Sybin, and thinking like maybe a price point and the gap, this would be good. Look at how much of the move it's given up, and it hasn't even done 1 million shares in volume at all. So it's a little bit disappointing. You look at ATAI was another one. This is, if there's one to pick, just in terms of like looking at the chart, it's done a few million shares in vol. It's above VWAP. But then it has the look of somebody seriously manipulating it in a 25-cent range. Like just, okay, well, it's barcoding 495 to 525. So I'm not, again, not a name. Like daily chart looks better with this as well. So it's the best looking chart of all of them. Not very exciting pre-market yet. If you put a gun to my head and said, which one would you take a shot on? I suppose it would be this one, but not enough to trade. I was hoping that there'd be a few of these that would be a little bit stronger. Maybe it's because it's the wrong day for them and the right day for.
Is there a specific day for these?
No, I'm just saying it's 420.
Yeah,
Everyone wants the weed stocks to go today.
I know, but like now, do we have to come up with something along the lines for this? And that's my question to you, Neil. Is do we think we can see within this specific space, within the psychedelics, and like that boom that we've seen in the marijuana sector in the teens?
I feel like what happened with like the marijuana boom created so many like bag holds, because I think like the terms of it was so overestimated
Yeah.
the size of what that market could be.
So you don't think we can see that in some of
psychedelics?
the in some of these
I don't
psychedelic
think it would
plays?
be as
I don't
crazy.
think the space is as big.
Yeah,
right?
I just
Like, I don't know if there's
Yeah, I
that many.
can't see it doing the same thing. It doesn't mean there's not opportunity.
Yeah.
But it was complete insanity. Like I can tell you what happened on our trading floor. You had like a few months where like no matter what style of trade you did, no matter what it was that you normally looked at, for a few months you were trading wheat stocks. And that's just how it was. And there's been more moments like that in the market before. During the meme craze, like it didn't matter what you did before, you were trading meme stocks if you were a day trader. It's just some things are too good to have ignored. Like on an average day like today, like I'm gonna look at Intel and AMD and IBIT and all that stuff. Back when that was happening, it was such a big deal. None of it was going on. If we were doing the show back then, we would have only been trading wheat stocks. We saw a little bit of that with silver recently, where you come every single day and you're looking at SLV, 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 SLV.
Yeah.
I don't know if the psychedelics have that juice. Like a story even like this, and we don't have multiple names holding up, looking like fantastic continuation runners. Half of them have given back the move in the morning. A bunch of them do not have the kind of explosive pre-market volume that you would like to see.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it. Some charts look okay. Like don't be wrong. Like actually, I like that ATAI chart. It just doesn't have that same.
It doesn't have the same feel behind it.
Yeah,
I guess,
that's the feel is right.
Like,
that's
and I don't like, and as I was just mentioning, I just don't think the space has as much power, right? Like I think that from a recreational standpoint, one is heavier weighted than the other.
It's not big enough.
It's not big enough. Yeah, exactly. Here's another name here, guys. Clearmind Medicine, 1.33%, 109 million shares, small cap, obviously, trading above the volume weighted average price. But if you zoom out and you take a look at the daily, this is disastrous, right? This is something that you wouldn't want to be a part of. There's a split too. So they do a split there, neo reverse, but it didn't really do much anything for the stock. If you really want to get into the nitty gritty of things, it's absolutely disastrous with a high of around $276. Obviously split adjusted down to approximately $1.32. So, hey, if you think this is going to be huge, some regulatory change, then by all means, why not, right? It could be some form of a lottery ticket. Put it, if you have like a 0.5% that you're willing to put into there, nothing substantial. I wouldn't go YOLO or put the pedal to the floor here, essentially, on some of these psychedelic plays. But I mean, there could be something, especially as the space is kind of getting a little bit more ground. But yeah, clear mind, 109%. Let's send it back to the desk and see what we got going on with Tesla.
Just real quick on Palantir, I was just reading a note here. The U.S. Federal Aviation Administration has brought in Palantir, so it sounds like a done deal, to compete on a new artificial intelligence tool for air traffic management. That's according to Bloomberg this morning. So, I mean, Palantir was down with the overall market, but I mean, we're almost back to green here for Palantir.
Breaking news, Claude launches their own air traffic control app. I mean, when is that going to happen? Wait for it, exactly.
But I mean, as you and I were just saying, like it makes some sense at this point, you know, especially with some of the instances that have occurred over the past year, let's call it, with air traffic.
Yeah, not the least of which the Air Canada plane, obviously, LaGuardia, that got hit there, and a couple of pilots died. Never a good look to see. But yeah, Palantir makes absolute sense. It's enterprise, which is right down their moat. It's something that's very automated and very prone to mistakes. Another one that's right down their moat.
All right, where does Tesla fit into all of this when it comes to satellites specifically? Maybe not Tesla specifically, but SpaceX and the IPO to come. But Tesla, another one here, almost back to green, ahead of what is to come this week. If you missed it, Wednesday, not Thursday. I said Thursday earlier. Wednesday after the close, we hear from Elon.
And here we go, Assassino, if we can show this. These are the two new geo-fenced maps. The one on the right is Dallas. The one on the left is Houston. Elon Musk announcing that there's going to be 2 new robo-taxi services in those 2 respective cities without a security driver like they have currently in San Francisco. In addition to that, he also announced that there's going to be an expansion of the robo-taxi service, and they're looking at Phoenix, Miami, Orlando, Tampa, and Vegas, hopefully by the end of the year. No specific time given. Separately, Brendo, we did have Morgan Stanley maintaining their equal weight on Tesla and a $415 price target. Likewise, Jefferies maintaining coverage with a hold rating, but boosting the price target from 300 to 350.
Hold your breath here a couple of minutes, possibly. We could go green, guys, for Tesla.
Oh, well, yeah, see this thing. Let's see. I mean,
I'm not going to hold my breath for a couple minutes.
some more. Yeah, I
I
mean,
can't. I'm not
a lot positive going on. This is what we want to see from Tesla, though. This is what we want to see from Elon and company, is that they're expanding that geofence. We know how creative he was. Remember his first geofence in Austin? He's creative, so I thought we would see something along those lines, but no. We're starting
cool.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, at the end of the day, hey, listen, you guys know where I stand when it comes to downtown Dallas. You know what I said? I didn't. I actually like it. It's exciting, and this is what we want to see, to start to expand with unmanned and actual autonomous vehicles, unsupervised, and really start to get in some major jurisdictions. And I think it's a big step in the right direction, and I like what Elon's got going on. I would like to see it a little bit higher because we know Waymo is taking California by storm, essentially. I think that's one of the states that you want to get involved with. And then it's like, okay, let's start to move a little bit north, because Sharif and I always talk about this. Sharif brings it up mostly. He's like, hey, how are these things going to perform in bipolar, essentially, weather like we had here, right?
Here's the thing you also have to think about. Like, you know, the whole like LiDAR debate and going back and forth.
Yeah.
Look, man, I don't pretend to be an expert about it. But the fundamental difference between two technologies, and something Elon would point out, just comes down to which one are you just throwing more patches on it to make it work, and which is the one which is going to be constantly learning, and which is the one that's going to be able to apply improvements in AI better.
Yeah.
And that, in theory, is the direction that Elon is taking it. So it's like it's like it can be behind now, but when you really think about where we'll be technologically a couple of years from now, you should be able to catch up really quickly. All of that said, let's get into the price action, because that's where the fun part is. I was pretty vague about the dip buy this morning, because I just really felt like I liked the mid 80s for the support. And the reason why it's hard for me to get away, even though you're right at the 200, like you could come back in and maybe fill some of this gap and respect some of those moving averages. I just lean back to how long we were in this channel. And to me, like, whoops, okay, I didn't draw the top part of the channel, but you guys get the idea. Like, we were in this channel for a long time. I just butchered the top end of it. But it was a consolidation breakout of that channel. We already had a bit of a dip. Now we've gone for another jaunt. I just want to look for continuation on this until proven otherwise, right? Like, you have earnings coming by in a couple of days, and we can maybe reassess it at that point. But I do like the look of the dip in the 385s. Now, whether we get that far down, we could see, if there's a bottoming pattern like this, right in the mid-80s, where you get some higher lows, great. If it does that hammer down candle, and then the first 930 candle ends up being a low, and then we get a consolidation, or I should show you cleaner here, like, this is the type of bottom you look at, then these are the kind of setups I like. Like, it gets back, it holds that bottom, it gets back above, confirms a VWAP, and then you get a bit of a breakout. So if we don't see 380s, there's always that little VWAP continuation play. Because as long as we're over 385, I'm looking bullish on this thing. Until proven otherwise. I would say this, though. Tesla gets to 420 today. I'm expecting there's going to be a brick wall at that price.
I mean, yeah.
I'm not saying it gets to 420.
Why, you don't think it's going to fly higher?
Be a lot cooler if it... Be a lot cooler if it did. Who said fail? Who did you hit that fail?
Never, Neil. I would never.
Was that you, Assassino? No, but I mean, guys, let's not forget about it. I mean, from a production capability standpoint, Tesla by far surpasses what Waymo, $250,000 a vehicle versus 30,000, which he's going to be selling these things for. A drastic change there. We got 3 minutes left. We have semi-strong. Let's see if Tesla can break that 420 mark today. See what the guys got going on over the desk.
AMD doing the heavy lifting here so far pre-market. As I mentioned, just going into this, we had a bunch of analyst notes come out around 9 o'clock as we got going on this. 2 or 3 on AMD specifically, price target increases across the board this morning for most of these. What a week last week, and here we are about to take out the highs. Yeah,
AMD was a monster last week. Stiefel today, bullish in all 3, AMD, Intel, and Lattice Semiconductor. LSCC, for those who don't know the ticker, they all received price target boosts ahead of their upcoming earnings. The firm raised the price target on AMD from 280 to 320. The price target on Intel was raised from 65 to 110 and 65 and 110 from 42 and 110 respectively. Sorry about that. We remain positive on AMD shares given the multi-gigawatt strategic commitments from Meta and OpenAI, as well as a counter-seasonal CPU ramp, albeit against the backdrop of worsening supply constraints. They go on to say the MI450, which their Helios, that's their upcoming GPU, another reason they're bullish on the name.
All-time highs right this second for AMD. Earnings 2 weeks tomorrow for this one, guys.
The over-under was going to be that 280 level for myself. Like it was a double top on Friday. You had the actual failure, the 280. But the thing about it when it failed is it rejected that price. Looked like it was going to do the full like kind of gap fill moment. Like, oh, there's your Friday rejection of the high, and it's going to fall apart. It didn't. It got right back up to resistance. So if it closes the 15-minute candle above 280, it's a continuation play, but it's already gone. So you've already broken out there. I'm going to remain, at least for the open, looking for the fade on Intel. I loved Intel long on Friday because it was just a simple, clean pullback into prior close price. But you're at the prior close with 69 resistance. So as long as it holds a 68.5 to 69, this one I'll sort of stick with the short idea. And before I throw back over to Joe, also looking at IBIT or Bitcoin, which I don't think we even talked too much about crypto, but the relative weakness here is rather large. So we're gaps further down. The market just bounced to the highs, and Bitcoin's not doing anything. So it's not participating. That would lead me to still think of I had 43.2 and 43.75. One of those things looks a lot less likely than the other for a fade. So at least I think that's looking pretty weak today, at least early.
Yeah, I mean, so guys, I mean, we don't know Sean, obviously no sticky note, but I can tell you what we're looking at. That's going to be Tesla. We have AMD at the all-time high. Neil continuing to climb in the free market. I don't love these rallies. Neil's cold, he's freezing, and then IBIT. So Tesla, IBIT, AMD, 3, 2, 1, ding, ding, ding. There we go. Let's rock and roll. I hope everyone had a fantastic weekend, and I hope we can start to get this a solid session and a solid week to the start. Obviously, at the start of the week here, guys, TSLA continuing to climb. Tesla really moving here right out of the gates. Bitcoin not doing too much. That's totally fine. But what is AMD? Absolutely flying higher as well. So
it's gone.
Yeah, it's gone. A lot of things are gone. Be careful of these early rally pumps. And then sure enough, you get somewhat of a pullback. You will see the retracement into the volume-weighted average price. Be patient. Look for plays around those levels.
Yeah, to say AMD is gone, it would be like a little bit of an understatement. Like, are you kidding me? It just went 6 right off of the bat, but oh yeah. This is what happens when you look at AMD for a split second and think, oh, it's going higher. Intel did the same move and is already back underneath 69. So like they did the same thing, like blasted it off the open, and now you're getting a rejection candle. So that 68.5 looks like going to be the zone. Bitcoin's still not really doing much of anything. Oh, we didn't talk too much about silver. Silver strong. Yes, it's trying to fill in the gap to support here at about 23.3. So that would be a bit of a reversion play on silver. And then remember, ASTS Space Mobile, ASTIS, which some traders like to call it, 72 is the key level. It just got down to about 73 and did the bounce. Was looking for that 72 to hold, just missed. By a smidge. You said Bitcoin's going? I didn't.
No, it's to the downside, yeah. Bitcoin really broke through that support there, guys, at about 42, 48. We were in the highs around 44, so I'll be patient. But the longer we stay below the volume-weighted average price, the less I like it for a long. So if we can find somewhat of a recovery relatively soon, you can see the tape and some relative strength start to kick in. So be patient, wait for some key levels to come in. I mean, those pre-market, we talk about this time and time again, with the exception of what we were experiencing last Friday, is that when we have those really strong pre-market kind of rallies, modest, I guess I shouldn't say really strong, like just these modest where you're just continuously climbing higher, grinding. Watch out for the intraday selling. You can get that last push. The TQQs has now filled the gap, right? So if that's it, you reject the gap high, you open up, you close and you reject that resistance zone. Sure enough, you bounce right into the volume-weighted average price, and I was talking about that only moments ago. So be patient. There goes Bitcoin right back towards VWAP. We punch through. We see the momentum really start to uptick. We have any form of a micro pullback, then let's rock and roll. That's going to be the green light to go. Whether it works or not, I think is going to be a totally different story. But the market has filled gaps, and then now we're starting to show some signs of strength bouncing off of VWAP.
Yeah, this AMD doesn't even want to give you a dip back into the prior high at this point. So the all-time high, it ticked it on Friday, and that would have been like 281 and change, and a very, very small change. It doesn't seem to, oh, here we go. Now it's starting to come back in a little bit more. What's wrong with, come on, chart. All right. Can't seem to move it over. Someone asked me the other day, it's like, oh, why do you have an extreme to the right? Sometimes it just doesn't want to move. We just pulled back into VWAP. I'm on the offer of Intel because every single press up, I've been trying to fade. All right, well, the market's coming back in. It's going to lose VWAP. I don't want to chase too much, but if it's going to end up down underneath the volume weighted average price and close under, then I might take the shot to try and grab this into the low of the day. Intel was one of those names that we wanted short. You're going long in Bitcoin.
I might not get it, though. I'm posted up at 59s. I don't want to grab the punt. I want to wait for that pullback. If I can get that dip by at 59, then I really like it. So we're posted up there. We had that punch through. The volume slowly starting to downtick, but I am liking where we're currently sitting. If I don't get 59s, then I have no issues with punching around 61, 62s, okay? So that's what I'm looking at Bitcoin. Now printing 66s, about to print 67s momentarily. There it goes. Off to the races, Bitcoin goes there, Neil. Now printing 70s. So I have to be a little bit more patient now on this pullback. But this is what I was talking about not too long ago. The longer that you stay below the volume-weighted average price, the less likely you're going to bounce through it with some form of momentum. So we slingshot right back up into VWAP, and then sure enough, now we punch through about 15 cents or 7, 8 cents or so, starting to get this pullback. Let's see how we hold around VWAP.
Yeah, it's good to see it try to hold. Remember, USO was sort of leading the way, and it's still very much trend down here at the open. We're still sort of trading into the lower. We just made another fresh low. If this were to break trend, I should say, unless this can break this downward trend, I would tend to think it better be pretty darn weak if you want it short. And if we hold that trend line, we could easily be filling that gap for a while. Like, there's really nothing in oil prices until you get down to 117. And I get it. I know I did. Someone's like, can you please just say SLV, not silver? I try. We try. I understand SLV is an ETF and it's not actually spot silver, but you're going to say what comes out faster and more naturally. So understand that if I'm saying silver, you know that I mean SLV because that's what we're trading. I'm not actually trading spot prices. All right, the only thing I like right now, the market's at highs and this is still not bouncing. I do not like chasing, even though I think Intel's weak, I don't like chasing the short when we're breaking out through the highs here. If we close under VWAP, I'm going to take a shot, but I'll let this 3-minute candle close in the next 20 seconds, although we're going to Adara at the desk.
Beware, guys, I am hearing some commentary coming out of the Middle East with regards to what's going on here and any potential resolutions. I'm seeing reports from Lebanese Parliamentary Speaker Barry saying that there is a U.S. effort to extend the ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel. President Trump also reportedly said he's going to be sending J.D. Vance, Vice President of the U.S., back to Pakistan soon for negotiations. So if I hear anything more about that, I'll let you know. But either way, it looks like there are some attempts here to make some kind of negotiations or talks. USO not super reactive, but just letting you guys know these conversations are happening. Furthermore, we do not have any economic data at 9:45 or 10 today. So no economic data to worry about. I will probably not see you guys until 10 unless there's news. So best of trading. Happy luck. Back to you.
Yeah, I mean, Neil and I were just going over. He's like, ASTS, he was looking at that. I'm like, okay, Bitcoin's gone. My algo would pick this up all day. It has picked this up all day. I mean, this hammer candle on volume right out of the gate. So that first 5-minute print. So now I just need to wait, be patient, and try not to chase. See if we get that pullback into 60s. I'm going to have to remove that 59 bid, but a 12-cent move. Bitcoin going to recover here on the day, and it's unfortunate that we didn't grab it right at VWAP. It is what it is, but I think at some form, relatively soon. We know that it can pull back aggressively, and it's going to be our job to take advantage of that. What we had here is just a 3-bar play. You punch through, you take that little bit of a breath, you can get 66s roughly, but then now look at it go off to the races, now printing 76s. Wow, there goes Bitcoin really screaming, oh man, we should have just hammered that one. Oh well, shoulda, coulda, woulda. There's going to be plenty of more opportunities here.
Well, I can tell you there was an opportunity a second ago, and it was not the same direction.
On, man.
The second we closed underneath the volume-weighted average price, someone's selling Intel like a bunch. Second we closed under VWAP, I'm like, oh, let's grab this candle in here. It dropped like 30 pennies almost right away. This is looking incredibly weak. Something going on with this sucker. Like, it's dropping it like a rock. Marvell's holding on to VWAP. Remember, there is some dispute on this story with Alphabet, so if it can't get above 150, I don't want to be a chaser. I liked it long when I sat down, and then they said maybe this story is not legit, at least from JP Morgan's standpoint. Adara?
Evercore ISI also flagged it as not legit, and it's worth noting. The information is kind of a repeat offender when it comes to stories that are almost immediately afterwards proven to be either untrue or using like older data, which is part of the allegation that Evercore made. They said this is kind of a retread of a prior story. Now, the information often will have these reports that seem like they're brand new, but if you actually read them a little bit deeper, it's referencing something from a while ago, older data, stuff we already knew that's been worded a different way. So I think it's worth noting not just JPM here, Neil.
Yeah, and that's never a good thing, because that's actually worse. If it's not only that it's not true, if they're also rehashing an old story. Yeah. I don't want to be a chaser of that at all. It's not going to happen. I think if you're looking at something strong, it's probably going to be AMD. But this market just again wicked the high.
AMD is nuts.
Like, we just wicked the top again. This is why I cannot be chasing any longs. Topping tail, you got USO bouncing. This is one of the reasons why I'm only looking for short entries at this point if we're going to fail the opening high. Apple just broke through the high of the day. I'm not chasing that. There's got to be something else I like short because USO is going up. It might just end up being SLV. Was that good enough? I didn't say silver. There
SLV,
it is.
baby.
So I said SLV potentially breaking trend as USO ticks higher. This closed under trend, and it looks like it'll be my first trade. It didn't fill in the gap to prior high, but a trend break is a trend break. And with the market pulling back in here, I do want the south side of something, and this is setting up. IBIT's also setting up for a wick top. I might also jump into that one.
Yeah.
Intel's pretty much gone.
I mean, Tesla's coming back in as well, too, Neil. So, I mean, you have that nice, strong up rally. I think the relative strength in today is going to be in Bitcoin. So, I have a lot of confidence in this potential long. We get that pullback and then that curl over. I think it's party time. There is an inverted hammer. Neil was talking about some popping tail signals. We can see that displayed right here on the 1 minute. But we still have buyers stepping in continuously. A nice flush to the downside. That's what we want to see. But there goes Tesla. Really starting to sell, heading towards that pre-market base. Same with the overall market, the NASDAQ right here. I'm not going to pull up NVDA. Well, I could, obviously, but I want to focus on what Tesla. Pardon me?
You haven't even looked at NVIDIA.
I haven't even looked at NVDA today, and I have no, again, I don't really need to. Well, obviously, it's good to keep an eye on it to see what the overall market is doing, but I want to focus on what we have right now, and that's going to be Tesla, AMD, see if we have some more buyers step in, because it was really strong in the pre-market, touching into all-time high, so maybe a little bit of profit-taking going on right now, but 5-minute time frame, look at this inverted, and then IBIT on the 1 minute, an additional topping tail signal, so there's a lot going on. See, that's the thing. It might be tough to breach this, but I think there's just a little bit more strength within this one, just due to the fact that it has substantially more volume than what we're seeing in this inverse candle. So now we're back into 63s. That's what patience, good things come to those who wait, Neil, as we're slowly starting to head in towards that level where I would like to buy a little bit of Bitcoin.
Yeah, I think we're sitting, I might be bidding around the same price on that trend break. Because I took the topping tail in here and looking to try to bid out.
Yeah, that was really nice. That was a really nice play.
Well, no matter how that works out, sad Neil canceling Intel short. Yeah, Intel's now down 2.7% flushing. Remember, this one failed the 70 level, and they report this week, so looking pretty nasty there for Intel and continuing to drop. So, yeah, because they weren't the one today unless you were chasing the short. Let's go back to the desk with Adara.
Yeah, keep an eye here on USO. Just be aware, we're getting comments right now from the director of the IEA, or the International Energy Agency, that is Fatih Birol. He's currently talking, he's been talking, he's saying that the world is facing a, quote, very serious economic problem in relation to oil. He said they're, I guess, ready to free some more of these SPR, strategic petroleum reserves, if needed, and adding that some countries do not understand the gravity of the situation when it comes to oil. So some comments being made again by Fatih Birol of the International Energy Agency. If I get any more news, I'll let you know, but I just wanted to let you guys, or make you guys aware, rather, that he is speaking. Back to you.
Yeah,
I mean, Adara, as always.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. There goes Tesla putting in a new low of the intraday session, guys. We have this pullback. I might actually remove this, and I think we can get a little bit lower of a price, to be honest with you. So I removed that 59 bid to see if we can get like 55s potentially. As long as we hold this 42, 42.50 base, then I think we'll be good. So I removed that one in kind of anticipation that we can get a little bit better of a price. AMDL, I'm liking this 1 minute print here, right just below the volume weighted average price. Hopefully this one isn't gone without us. There it is, bang, that entry, and we could just use this as a potential stop. So let me pull up AMDL. I think that's going to be a good one, guys. We're going to be going over a lot of the same names, essentially, just due to the fact that I want to hyper-focus on a couple of them, right? And just get in sync to see, hey, what are we going to do? How is price action reacting? And sure enough, we had Walmart also. I think I was just talking about that. But AMDL, going to have to risk this a little bit more. So what we have to do is essentially size down on AMDL because we want to hold it until at least 2280s. We're now trading at 2317. Which is obviously about 40 cents worth of risk. Have to size down drastically, give it 50 cents flat, calculate that one. But there goes AMD, Neil.
Yeah, AMD, it's been an absolute rocket for them, but it's just immediately back to VWAP. Like the thing about this range is, I know it's only 943, but you're still looking like that 930 first 5 minute nonsense in AMD. Like when it settles down and gets a little bit tighter, that's like, look what it did on Friday. That was much, much cleaner. You get a bit of a trend break as well. Well, two things are happening. One is IBIT sort of behaving itself. Like the topping tail, holding into the bottom end of the range. That one's looking fine for now. Looks like it just wants to sort of slowly gravitate lower. But SLV kind of ticked down, just got to reload. I'm giving it to the prior high. So I was able to get some out and then just simply reload it. But that trend break's not following through the way I'd like to see. So maybe a little bit of strength is coming in. And the place that it's happening, USO, like it just ticked VWAP and then headed back lower. So if we're not really confirming breaking this downward trend, then you think you find some strength in the market. And if that's going to happen, you want to lean back into the names that are strong. That would have been AMD, but now it's losing VWAP. So I can't pull the trigger here on advanced micro devices. Let's check in on Marvell. Low of the day. That's not looking like, just can't even hold on to that bid at all here in Marvell. Looking pretty nasty. ASTS, yeah, I think the thing about having a level, like, yeah, I liked 72. It never got to 72. Bounces well away from that and looking pretty strong. Sometimes it's just a matter of it got far enough. It was an abject disaster, that failed orbital launch. I'm using air quotes. It was a failure. It got sent to the wrong orbit, but it's not like the thing blew up. Like, there's a difference between like a launch failure when the thing blows up and simply putting it into the incorrect orbit and having to deorbit it.
Yeah.
It's not as big of a disaster. It's sort of easier to figure out. That is what it is. It's only now 9% now, but we missed that dip by for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so I mean, there goes Bitcoin once again. This is the curl over in the VWAP hold that I've been essentially looking for. I don't think this AMD trade's going to work. We'll hold on to it until we get stopped out. But let's get back to our game plan here with IBIT. We did try to buy that candle, and it looks like it's going to be breached here on AMD, which is totally fine. We sized down drastically on that one, and then we're going to wait for a good quality price here on IBIT. We wouldn't have caught that fill at 59s, but 60 looks like it wants to be that threshold right now for us. So let's be patient, wait for those levels to come into play instead of just punching. Like I'll use Frex just to get involved right away. But I think if we get a good post up here on AMD, on IBIT, then we can really start to rock and roll. So I'll give it a little bit higher because I don't think 59 is going to be in play. 63 I'm okay with because it's the lower end of the range. So let's get involved. Let's post up once again to see if we're going to get that pullback and then get that entry here. We'll hold on to this AMD trade until otherwise, and once it cracks that 88 level, we'll give it to 85s or 80s essentially. And then we get out of Dodge. We're talking about 45 cents of risk, cut the size in half, just due to the fact that it's a little bit wider. You're up 2.5% here on AMDL. So AMD being up one and a bit here. But yeah, I mean, strong stuff. If it can crack this downtrend, I know Neil was looking at this. So on the 1 minute time frame, you can see those consecutive lower highs. As soon as we get on the backside of this might be a good opportunity to add into some. So let's be patient to see if that's going to come into play here on AMD.
Well, I've been patient all morning with Tesla. So I said 380s on Tesla was the mid 380s was the area I'm looking. It's now getting into the target zone. We're underneath $400. Like, you've gotten right into where it broke out on Friday. Let me just zoom back in so you can see it. But it's been unable to hold any like prior candles. If we can just close this 3 minute holding the 395 level, that'll show me that we have some kind of a reversal zone. But I'm not liking the silver trade. Like Bitcoin is holding its range, which it does, right? So as long as it holds onto the range, I can stick with it. But it's silver the one that's not going, and AMD wasn't setting up yet, but I do like this Tesla. Looks like we're gonna hold that 395. Sometimes on a 3-minute bar, it's like you're gonna close it. There's only like 6 seconds left for it to close. The chances of it closing under 395 now are next to no. We're going to Adara, and I'm gonna try the first long for myself today, and hopefully it'll be Tesla.
Beware, guys. We're getting comments now from Iran on U.S. and negotiations between the countries. Iranian state TV is reporting that Iran is saying the U.S. is, quote, not serious about talks between the countries and that Iran will, I guess, have to make a decisive response if the U.S. repeats its past mistakes. So once again, it's U.S. reportedly facing, quote, a decisive response from Iran if they decide to repeat, quote, their past mistakes, as Iran accuses the U.S. of not being serious enough about these negotiations. Back to you.
I feel like, you know when Family Guy, when just like, shut up, Meg.
Yeah.
Like just punch long. Shut up, Iran.
On Tesla?
Well, it doesn't matter now, but it's one of those headlines.
All
It's
of
like,
them,
well, that's not the best. They had just gotten in. We got our prior bar break, like right there, and it's like, yeah, they're gonna take out the low, so we're gonna get out. We had just gotten first profit target, and then all of a sudden it goes the other way. It was just turning. Shut up, Meg.
Yeah, I know. This is some quiet, like this back and forth headline stuff. Like I said, it's fun, but then when it's just really starting to hinder, it's just like, okay, yeah, volatility spike here and there. It's just like, all right, enough is enough, in my opinion. That's how I feel about it personally. I'm going to get stopped out, so this is going to be a relatively quick trade on IBIT. We got out of AMDL as well, so it's just like, all right. And I think that's the narrative. When we had that ceasefire, things were cool. No one's really talking. You've seen the implied volatility on the SPY go down to 9%, right? It's just like, all right, shh. Because typically, when there's not that much going on, the market's relatively more quiet, you just have that nice steady grind higher. Yep. When you have this back and forth, Iran saying this, Donald Trump truthing that, it's just like, all right, we want to trade. If you're okay with that volatility, then by all means, but it doesn't necessarily work with my style. I like the nice and quiet, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. It's one of those, like the shorts start to come in when that happens, but I could have waited 5 seconds and maybe not even gotten a signal to get into Tesla. So IBIT's doing the same thing. It put in a lower high, it just put in a lower low. It hasn't really broken that bottom just yet, but we'll see. Like I'm not giving completely up on Tesla because I do feel like it was the mid 380s that I liked and we haven't even broken 390. So there's a long way to go when you zoom out to maybe look for some support. I've now stuck the complete fork in trying to chase or trying to get into Intel. I'm just gonna wait for a reversion play now.
Yeah.
It's now down 3.5%. Like I was able to get, IBIT was a more gentle topping tail. Silver was SLV was a much more gentle move, but this has gone full, almost parabolic downside on INTC. And just sort of a technical failure, I'm guessing, because I haven't heard any specific stories. So if we get to 65 range, that's where I'd start to look for some kind of a curl. You've already mentioned AMD. That's starting to look like a big reversal candle on AMD. NVIDIA failed the 200 level several times now, so that's starting to look a little bit weak. The one thing that's, I think, possibly in the favor of the long still is we're not actually making any fresh lows here on USO. And we're not breaking higher. Like we're just in the same range. So if this, if this breaks trend to the upside, then the shorts are gonna look good. So I was about to say, we're holding the downward trend. It may not be flushing, but we're holding the downward trend. As long as that happens, you'd think we could catch a bit of a bid. But because we've gotten range bound, I'm just gonna play inside the range, which means VWAP here for the silver trade. Like just scalp some out into the volume weighted average price if nothing's gonna go crazy. Hold some in case it flushes. But I don't see that happening unless USO breaks VWAP. If I see that, then I'm adding to shorts if USO breaks that volume weighted average price.
Yeah, I mean, nice short on, like I was thinking like dip buy here on IBIT, but as soon as the momentum started to pick up, we formed that shelf. We got out when we were supposed to, right? Like a 10-cent stop in at 63, out at 53s. It didn't want to continue to go. Neo had the short on that one. That was definitely the better idea. AMD downtrend still fully intact, and this market's a little bit choppy. So with that being said, slower of a start. On Friday, all it took was one trade, and that was done. So we'll start 0 for 2 here today, but I mean, there's plenty of time left, and it only takes one. Stick to those stops. You get out when you're supposed to, and it's going to set you up. I put on one solid trade where we hit our risk to reward, and then it's back to Greensville, USA.
Oh yeah, that's what we're doing.
All right, AVEX, thoughts? $2 super chat. CP, Coe, what's going on? We'll pull up AVEX and see what we have. AVEX, Corp. Let's see what it is. Okay. All right. You're onto something. AVX Corp. Nice breakthrough VWAP. I mean, what do these guys actually do? Are you familiar with them?
AVX? Yeah. I cannot say I'm familiar with it. It's the first
There's
thing
no
I always say when we get like a new symbol, if I've never looked at it before and I'm completely unaware of it, that's the first thing I will say.
Yeah, I have no idea.
It is, but I just immediately checked. Like it's a drone company.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that was the IPO, right?
Oh, was it?
Yeah, AVEX was that was the IPO last week. It was the drone IPO last week.
Yep, Friday.
Yeah.
So $22 all the way up to $34.21. So back-to-back green days.
Oh, it was actually a very clean opening trade.
Yeah, very clean. Yeah, it looks really good. I mean, continuing the climb. But we talk about IPOs. How often do these typically hold up that well?
JKL looking MSTR to pull in Eric Lindros and take a hit. Ouch. Oh, that's cold, man. That guy took a few blows, obviously.
Scott Stevens?
You don't want to, I don't want anything to get that bad. Ultimately, I'd prefer, I want things to go up for people. But if you flash like a topping tail, what's immediately interesting to me is MSTR is holding much better than Bitcoin. I would be very surprised if this downward trend holds on Bitcoin. I hate to be, wow, we free locates? As long as that trend holds, I'm just gonna see, just to make sure. Yeah, we can short this. Sometimes we gotta pay for locates. I never want to assume, and then you go to punch short and then you don't have them.
Yeah.
You just make sure. But if we hold trend down on Bitcoin, and IBIT Bitcoin, then I think joining like a trend break in MSTR would make some sense. I might throw that up on the side. How are we doing in like a BMNR?
You need anything? You want a coffee or something?
Oh, I'm good.
You're good? All right, cool.
Yeah, like underneath VWAP and looking weak. Not sure why you see some of that strength in MSTR, but sometimes it's just down to that whole, I guess it's the hedge trade that's pretty popular, which is long Bitcoin, short MSTR, and then when it unwinds, obviously the reverse in both directions. So my guess is you're dealing with a little bit of that as to why MSTR has got the strength, but it does make sense to me. I can't see Bitcoin trending forever downside today and not eventually going, following along. Adara, if you happen to figure out why, I guess HIMS could just be continuation from Friday, but it is absolutely flying to the upside. So I just saw a few people mentioning it. I saw it show up on the visualizer, so got pretty interested there. So Intel, that reversion trade, because the short might be gone, this is the first green candle forming, and the market is absolutely flying. So I'm about to take my first shot. Sometimes you don't really have, I'm not bothering to draw a trend line here. Like if you can't really see that it's breaking the trend, then trend lines aren't going to help you. Adara?
There is an absurd amount of social media attention on hims and hers. I'm scrolling over the last minute. I'm already seeing 15, 20 tags. This is like GME meme stock levels of social media interest. I'm not seeing any news to back it up, but sometimes this can be enough to move something.
Well, yeah, it could just be continuation from Friday. Like you had a huge open for HIMS Friday morning. So my guess is it's probably just a little bit of a continuation play. All right, not the first long. See how much I like it. This bar hasn't really closed in the green yet. If it does, I'll add. If I get in a bit early, typically I'll get in for half, and then if the trend confirms on the close of the candle and the next candle, then I like to take the next half. But stop always remains the same. It's always the prior bar as my out and stick with that. This move up in the future is getting absolutely intense. And by the way, it is Apple just absolutely leading the way to the upside here. Super strong day for Apple, up that 1.4%. Like I would have told you it was all about the chips, but AMD still can't get above VWAP. Like this is getting annoying with AMD here. Like it's getting to VWAP, but there's no continuation in the stock right now, which is getting frustrating because I felt like I'm on an Intel trade because it just broke the trend and the trend was down, but that's not the one I would have wanted.
Yeah,
AMD's
right.
over 280. So I want to be in this sucker, but if you can't hold VWAP here, then what's the point? Do it or don't do it, AMD. You're supposed to have places to be.
I know. Dude, I was gonna enter again here on Bitcoin. I wanted it right at the low, would have gave us a much better price at 57s. And then it just decides to go off to the races here. We just step away for a couple of minutes, and then gonzo it is. So it's one more pullback, but I think at some point, just it's solely off of this candle. It typically takes a while, but look at how we're turning around. Look at the price action right here, and then sure enough, I think we're gonna break this downtrend, even though we have that inverted. If we can't sit on the backside of this, then maybe it's not going to be as strong as I'm thinking, but the volume on the buy side is relatively higher, substantially higher than what we're seeing on the sell side, and that's a nice 5-minute engulfing print. So you have a 20-minute pullback, and then essentially engulfed by one 5-minute candle. I like those signs of strength. With that being said, let's give this one more attempt here. We're going to post up at 68s to see if we can get. Actually, no, I want to post up a little bit lower at 64s to see if we can catch that fill on IBIT, and then maybe off to the races we go. If not, then I mean, you take your. We're at our at bats, right? We got a foul out right now, Neil. Speaking of the bats, the Jays bats woke up finally, but I think it's a little bit rough. But anyways, aside
it helps to run into a bum of a pitcher. But.
Yeah, I mean, aside from that, 42.65, that's where we're going to post up. We'll take our 3 swings at it. It either works or it doesn't. We'll be out at 55s if it decides to come back in, but I like where we're sitting right now on Bitcoin. That downtrend in AMD is fully intact,
it's
I think,
still
Neil.
there.
Yeah, it's still there. So if you're looking to go short, VWAP, the break of it, or that previous pivot high right here, then maybe I think that might be the ideal play in AMD.
Thanatos in the chat, that's your funeral. I say this every single time. If anybody plays that game of if Neil says phrase, take a shot, I'm your Huckleberry. Absolutely, I am your Huckleberry. Straight up. It doesn't, I don't care how anything's going. Like I could be sitting there and just absolutely parched and looking for an absolutely delicious coffee there. You want to see how many times I can say absolutely? Now I'm just going to say it 1,000 times.
Absolutely.
I've done this to the viewers before. You asked for it, you got it. Don't play that game. That's low-hanging fruit for me. I'm down to have that kind of fun. But anyways, back to the markets for a quick little second. Sometimes this is, I don't know, man. Like the plan of action was to be short Intel, but then I missed that trade, so I end up in this like long off the bottom. But it just can't take the second level. It can go first, but it's not pushing through. Kind of misplaced that offer. Hasn't really pushed through that second level up. I want to go, whatever. I'll just put a bunch of 6s and hit enter, and then go there, and then get into the volume weighted average price. So if it can break 66.4, then I'd look to move up to stop. For now, I'll leave it in place just underneath the 66 level. I don't have to tell you, SLV is basically the same thing. We're putting in the lower high. We have yet to get to VWAP, so I'm looking to get VWAP and then hold for the low. IBIT came into the trend, or Bitcoin came, well, you've seen the chart with Joe, so it came into this trend, rejected, so I'm still looking for the low of the day there. So far, so good as we go to Adara for happening now.
NASDAQ and SPY here, both gapping down, but just trucking along to the upside. Here's the QQQ, a little bit less directional, I would say, than the SPY. Kind of choppy, but the SPY just at here, intraday highs, near pre-market highs, just continuing to push higher. Again, we don't have a ton of economic data. Actually, don't really have any economic data to digest today, but we certainly have a lot of news. We know that we have had tensions heat back up here between the U.S. and Iran. Now, President Trump, as of around 9:30 a.m. this morning, reportedly telling the New York Post that he's willing to meet with senior Iranian leaders if a breakthrough is reached. But then we heard, like, 10, 15 minutes after that Iran basically said the U.S. isn't serious, they need to be careful, more or less. We also have comments coming through here from the IEA, or International Energy Director, International Agency Director Fatih Birol saying that certain countries do not seem to be taking the energy crisis as seriously as it actually is, and saying that the Strait of Hormuz might actually cease to have as much importance as it currently has when it comes to the transit of oil. MRVL with a really interesting headline, not the headline so much as all of the controversy surrounding it, but we did have Google reportedly teaming up with Marvell for some new AI chips and TPU work. That's reported by The Information. Then today we had not one but two analysts, JP Morgan and Evercore, both saying that either this report is kind of sketchy or there's actually no evidence to suggest that it's real. Then we had TSLA, last but not least. Catalyst for this one, expanding the robotaxi rollout to a couple other places in Texas, namely Dallas and Houston, ahead of their earnings report. Q1 2026 earnings for TSLA. It's going to be after the bell on Wednesday. We'll have to find out if you're E-long or E-short. But either way, guys, make sure to join us here. Like, subscribe, and we're going to head back over to Joe and Neil for more trading action.
Yeah. I heard you with that one. E-long or E-short for Tesla. How about we just do, okay, so it's like really, like today, like it's like Intel long's gonna work for me and Tesla long's not gonna have worked. That's just how it is. But we're not gonna see that 420 on 420 at this rate, Tesla. So if it's gonna turn into an E-long, it has to do it pretty quickly here. You know what, every single time I look over and it's looking good, Intel is just enough sellers start to come into it. Like the $0.50 is starting to run into a little bit of pressure. Fill. I'm asking for Phil. Actually, don't know any. My dad's name is Phil.
Is it?
Yeah.
Right on.
But, and my half-brother's name is Phil as well.
Oh, okay.
But just wanted to get the Phil. Okay. I'm going to be out of this at VWAP. No matter how strong this gets, I have to remember that I really did think this was a short. So I will be ringing the register. Because at VWAP, my first thought is try to look for a continuation short play, although it's a weird thing to say continuation short if you were never short the stock. Finally, SLV gets to VWAP. So I took another leg out in front of VWAP. Now I'm just looking for the hold into 72.3 on SLV, like that pre-market high, and then look for the 72 level, which I think is a bit of a pivot point there. So at least that's working out. IBIT, meh. Looks like that's leveling off a little bit here in Bitcoin. So put in the lower high. It's not really doing much. It's not giving me a lot of reasons to reload this yet because I'm still waiting for USO to break VWAP. Remember what I was sort of saying. The only reason I would take a short at a different entry price and change the game would be if I saw like oil futures blow out the top. Like if it blows through VWAP and breaks the trend, yeah, then I think the momentum comes in to add to shorts other than at the best prices. Again, just going to kind of preach patience for here. It's been a decent start outside of obviously missing out on Intel short, but
that's all right.
Now the stop's nearing the break even now. Like now it can't. Yeah, but look at what the short was.
Yeah, more ideal.
The second it went back into red, the sellers just came in en masse.
Yeah. I mean, as soon as we get the green light, but anyways, aside from that, IBIT just really starting to reject VWAP here. Let's be patient and hold on. We do have these lower high or these higher lows essentially. So this is holding up for us. I'm tapped in. I don't know. I didn't get the green light. As soon as if you hear anything, I heard them typically before, but Adara was mentioning something. There goes Bitcoin starting to climb a little bit higher. This is exactly what we want to see. Bang, let's go. Can we break this kind of secondary downtrend, punch through this pre-market high, and I think head towards this is going to be an ideal target for me if we're fortunate enough to even get there. First things first, you got to take baby steps. Did you get the green light?
I thought we were going to Adara, but...
Did you hear anything? I didn't hear anything. Are you ready? You just chime in if you are Adara by any means. Just hit your thing, your market.
I mean, yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
President Trump is talking reportedly to PBS about Iran, saying that, quote, bombs will go off the second the ceasefire ends or expires. That'll be tomorrow. He said lots of bombs, actually. Furthermore, asked if Iran is actually going to be doing these talks with Pakistan tomorrow, President Trump says he actually doesn't know. He says he hopes they'll be there. They're supposed to be there, but he's not really sure if they will be. Furthermore, he said it's actually fine if they're not there, and that if Iran does show up, they'll be discussing nuclear weapons. I think the biggest thing, though, is him saying that, hey, if we do not get any kind of negotiations going well, the ceasefire expires without a deal, quote, lots of bombs will start going off.
Okay. Well, the only bomb that just went off is the bid just went out. So thankfully, when it goes one level, I don't move my stop. When we get to second resistance, that's where I'll move my stop up to the break even. And again, my plan of action was actually to be short Intel, so to actually get a long win is fine, just kind of disappointing. Yeah, I'm kind of self-critical. I'm going to get out break even on IBIT. I'll just take the win. It never really broke the low. So we got the topping tail reversal candle, but then we've broken that lower high trend here. So we finally made a bit of a higher low. So I'll just get out of that one, break even. And sort of the way I like to look at it is which one of the two shorts is sort of still holding on to the trend. So while we're at VWAP on SLV, it's still holding on. There's your lower highs. This is the one that makes a little bit more sense to stay into. Right? So you give the one that's working better a little bit more, not room, but leeway is probably the best way.
Yeah, just allow it to continue to work.
Yeah, well, you know what's not working?
What's that? This Bitcoin line?
I don't know.
It's like
no, it's AMD.
Yeah,
AMD is now looking completely broken at this point. Like, yes, it's holding on to Friday support, but it lost the 280 level. It just made a new fresh high, and you don't want a daily candle to close like this, obviously, but look at it on the 15. It is nasty on the 15-minute here for Vance Micro Devices. So if it can't hold 275, you're probably waiting $5 if you're even thinking about a bounce at this point. I'm seeing no reason not to just hold on to the silver trade, wait for something else to set up. It could be back into Tesla, but that's nowhere near those 380s that I wanted for the shot. Like, we took one shot at it there. Thankfully, at least the Intel bounce worked. But I'm going to have to wait for this to get a little bit lower, I think. Now let's go back up to Adara.
Keep an eye on GEO-OGL. So it's very important here to note the source. It is the information, which is the source of kind of questionable now Marvell report, but either way here, GEO-OGL on watch with this report. The information basically reporting that OpenAI is going to be releasing a new image model over the next few weeks. Now, according to this article, this image model is going to be directly competing with Google. We know they have their Nano banana image generator that's been quite successful. So either way here, GEO-OGL on watch reportedly can face some new image generation competition from OpenAI. Once again, though, be aware of the source here, the information, not the best track record, especially even today. Back to you.
Always with a great track record as a source is Adara at the desk. And always looking for opportunities are traders out there. And with this market activity, you've got the kind of environment that gives the big opportunities, the big moves, more setups, more momentum. But if you want to take advantage of those conditions, well, you need a couple things. You need discipline, but you also need access to capital. That's where Trade the Pool comes in. Instead of being limited by the size of your personal account, traders can access firm capital and focus on executing their strategy and managing their risk. No more fear of blowing up your personal account or moving your stop loss too early because you're worried about your own savings. This is called limited risk trading. So if you want to take advantage of the volatility in today's markets without risking your own capital, visit tradethepool.com or scan the QR code now and get 10% off. A deal is a deal. I like 10% off. I'll take it all day.
Yeah.
Did just ring the register. Finally, we broke through VWAP proper here on SLV. The next look, if we hold above VWAP, I'll probably trail this one out. Don't want to get back into the highs, but look for that 72 now on SLV. Still looking, it's actually pretty constructive if you look at it, right? Like, you're putting in some higher lows. We just waited for it to make a top. It wasn't the absolute high, but you take what you can get and you don't get upset, I think is one thing I like to lean into. Hey, Robinhood's looking pretty strong.
Is it? Woo.
Yes, Robinhood is stronger than Bitcoin right now.
That's good, man. This is what we want to see. Bitcoin is not been working the best for us. We're still sitting within this position. I mean, we've yet to get stopped out. We came a penny, literally 2 pennies away from getting stopped out on IBIT, the lower end of the range, right? Like, so it's like, hey, you don't step away from your desk. You post up there. Just place your stop to see if you catch that fill. We would have been in at 55s. We take some off at 70s, and then we'll see if this thing's going to continue to climb. But, I mean, as for the overall market, guys, I got my eyes on USO. This stuff between Donald Trump and just, it reminds me of, like, high school activity where you guys are kind of just going Twitter back and forth. And so we'll see. At this point, what we're experiencing in the market, unfortunately, I do
Twitter
think...
in high school? Yeah.
Well, no, I didn't have that. Like, I mean, like Facebook, you know, on Facebook, you would just like, you'd have that little Facebook beef or whatever. So this guy's talking about dropping bombs and all that
I can't even make this up. I don't even think, I don't think I had an email address until I was like halfway done high school.
You didn't have MSN?
No, I think we Yeah, I don't think I
Yeah,
had an
MSN.
email address until like I was like a senior. Oh my god, that's
In high school?
yeah, man.
Why, was that like the thing back then? is
Like
to have an
online
email
chat
address?
started happening for the most part when I was in university.
Okay.
Yeah, Fabian, I was an AOL kid.
Yeah, so was I.
Fabian just goes, "Were you an AOL?"
So was I.
And he just said, "You can tell that I'm an AOL kid."
Oh.
Why? Because I'm losing my hair and all that stuff. It doesn't really matter. So I was really thinking Tesla was about to break this wedge in the good way.
Yeah, so did I. I was looking at that.
So yeah, it was.
All right, we're out of.
It was going to be like this little trend here, or whatever. You guys get the idea. Lower highs, higher lows and lower highs, but it ends up resolving in the other direction. Okay, I guess there's not going to be a long setup for a little bit here. It's going to be a little bit more patience and then waiting for a bit more of a gap fill. Again, I'm just holding for this low right now in SLV. I'm not really seeing a reload spot. I guess I could have gone back into IBIT for sure. But man, this is looking pretty nasty. It's looking pretty nasty on several names, but you know where it's not that crazy? It's like you take a breath. The NASDAQ didn't make a fresh low there. You know, it's actually bouncing off a bit of the Qs. I'll look, fine. The Qs is making a bit of a higher low. It's still very much in range. There's still some strength out there. Apple's holding trend and still going higher. You look over at, say, like a Microsoft here. Like that's above VWAP, big time V-shaped recovery, so that's looking relatively strong. That USO, which finally took out the volume weighted average price, like the very first thing it might do is reject.
On Pop Rose.
So it's able to get above VWAP, but it's not really holding above VWAP. So that could give a bit of a bounce to the market if that could pull a reversal for you. There's some strength out there overall. As a matter of fact, now that I see that, that could be a reason to maybe trail this before it gets to the volume weighted average price. I'm going to keep an eye on that USO. I don't need if that loses VWAP, that's supposed to be a turning point that we can try to get back into some longs.
Yeah. I like this bottoming signal here on Tesla, so we're going to take that attempt there, guys. I mean, there is a resistance zone. If it breaches it, then we just have to get all out, and we'll be a little bit more patient. It's like, hey, at some point, we got to come to the realization that inverted on the lower time frame, not the best for our position right now. So it's just like, all right, we might have to just overall abandon the long thesis and look for some potential shorts. Continuous rejection here, because if it's not going to work, right, at some point, you just have to be like, all right, maybe the market's on a complete fade today. Tesla's been on a monster run, so if we have buyers step in at some point on this one, I had to take this, right? Like you had that clean flush, and then now right around the lows, you put in that indecision print. Would have been obviously more ideal if it was an isolated pivot, not necessarily the case, but that's all right. A nice strong uptick there in Tesla. USO is moving higher, right? And I'm not going to be buying those. We took our attempts on IBIT, 2 of them. The first, like these positions aren't the best. Like I should have been getting in around the lows so you can just really drastically increase your risk to reward. But with this strong movement higher, I'm like, okay, pull back, we dip buy on there. You get a little bit of a pop, but then I seen that seller really kick in at 72s on multiple occasions. And with that being said, as soon as we hit that stop, we had to get out of Dodge. Tesla looking like it's gonna break the low of that candle and the overall market heading a little bit lower. So yeah, shorts in play here today. And I think that's gonna be the narrative. You're short silver, I think that's definitely the thing. We've been on that run, and I think now we're going to break down a little bit here in the market.
Yeah, the name I'm coming back to is that we got that super chat about MSTR, and was a little surprised when I saw Bitcoin doing what it was doing, that MSTR was making that move. I just I just got the consolidation out in SLV. I'll get to that in a second, but I'm going to look for this VWAP break. You've got Bitcoin trying to take out the low of the day, and then you've got MSTR looking to take out VWAP. So I don't know what's happening to the chart. I'm going to look to enter this one. Like I know I said I was going to short short IBIT at those highs, but if I can't get those highs and I'm able to get a good price on a trend break here in MSTR, I'll just go ahead and do that. Yep. But I did slip out of the silver trade, just to let you guys know. I did slip out of the silver trade. It's now bouncing off of this pre-market high level at 72 quarters. So when I saw that happen a couple times, I'm not saying it's a complete reversal, but the market's at VWAP. You got USO kind of dancing around. I might get a second crack at this, but if it ends up being like sort of a one and done idea on silver, that's not really the end of the world.
No. No, not at all. All right, yeah, so there it is here on Tesla. We can look at this from a daily. The strength not very good, right? Like, I mean, we are holding this level, but as soon as it cracks, which it looks like it's going to momentarily, as the overall market, and there goes Bitcoin right back towards my entry price. So that's why just where you're positioning yourself, yeah, exactly. I had the feeling that we were going to do that. Should have been a little bit more patient and just drop down in size a little bit and just tried to grab the lower end of the range. So yeah, that's my bad, but at the end of the day, we take those opportunities. You punch through VWAP, and then sure enough, it just didn't work out. There's a lot of choppy price action here this morning, guys, but we do have the TQQs heading towards the key support level. This is what I'm looking at here on IBIT, essentially. Let's get this out of here. See if we can get that pop in Tesla, or it's just going to take an additional leg lower. Daily, relatively bearish, but what we have going on here is consecutive lower highs in IBIT, so maybe eventually you get this support level breakdown. You are starting to form that wedge and consolidate within that range. Hopefully that's not necessarily the case. I like this engulfing print. Now you just have to be patient enough to see if buyers are going to step in, but what I'm noticing here is just that the strength to the top side isn't as what it is to the downside. You can see the volume uptick, the size of this, and then every time it pops up, it's immediately faded. So we have to be prepared to get out on Tesla if that one's not going to work for us. We had that on our radar, and then Bitcoin right back towards the entry price, now breaking through VWAP. So yeah, I mean, definitely a choppy one. Lower end of the range is key positioning. And there goes the NASDAQ putting in a new LOD, or not, pretty close anyways, just breaking through support levels. But yeah, that's unfortunate that we got caught up in this chop here with IBIT.
It's still early.
Yeah.
It's only 10:18. You know what? Like, as I'm waiting for MSTR to make its move, I do want to remind everybody, we started out actually thinking this morning that the tech stock that was going to lead everything to the promised land was Marvell. Marvell's breaking the low of the day as we speak. So it was multiple shades thrown at that information story, which could be the culprit here with the Google partnership and team up. But that's not looking very good at all for Marvell, unfortunately. It does look like I said, there's some strength. Some is probably the wrong word to use. A lot of strength being led here in Apple. What I'd be a little bit concerned is if we get led up by a name like Apple, and it's now sort of testing trend, like you've got the NASDAQ trying to break underneath VWAP at this moment and starting to fall. Like if Apple loses the uptrend when it's supposed to be it is one of the things holding us up, it's just going to be back into the shorts. That's why I'm patiently looking for that MSTR entry, but it's making its bounce. So I don't think this will be necessarily the next one, MSTR. Not at this rate. Like it's holding pretty decently at VWAP, but if I'm thinking the next leg is to look for the short, it's nowhere there. JC, we got a super chat up here from Chris James. Chris, what up? Let's see if we can throw that one up there. And I like that music, so I don't know if Andre's right there. Chris Games. I said Chris James. Chris Games in trading. I like that. Joe, I love your commentary. It's top tier.
Appreciate that. I mean, I think everybody's here is top tier. Neil, everyone. I mean, I've much appreciated, man. Truly love.
You know what's the best about like the show and the community?
What's that?
And it's like I'll see some people and they're like, "Oh man, I don't like this or I do like that."
Yeah.
I think it's just the absolute variety. Like nobody on this show is like everybody is different. Everyone has their own flavor.
Yeah, flavor. Look. I appreciate that, Hangry Wife. There goes Bitcoin.
Now it goes.
Yeah, now it goes, right on that third attempt. So, I mean, 1, 2, 3, boom, off to the races. That's exactly what we were looking for. 68, 66. Now you're printing 77s. Bitcoin starting to squeeze as Tesla is heading towards the downside. Oh, it's
down.
Really it's really moving now, Neil. Oh, my God. Oh, so I don't know sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, what an absolute beautiful move. Should have took the third attempt, but shoulda, coulda, woulda. There it goes on Bitcoin. Nice move up into 85s, and the volume really starting to uptick. You just have that squeeze type price action happening in the overall market. It's not happening in the NASDAQ. It's choppy. We're not getting any form of a rebound here in Tesla, but Bitcoin, our primary suspect here, doing what it wants to do. Being patient is key. So we'll have to do that from here on out. We'll wait until that setup 110% comes into play. Grab the lows, grab the support level, and then sure enough, get that monstrous move like we were fortunate enough. What we did on Friday is irrelevant, right? It's irrelevant, but
Oh,
It's all about, it doesn't matter what you did yesterday. It's about what you're going to do here today.
Exactly.
So you're down 2.5%. So Joey, good at, what am I good at there, brother? I appreciate that. I agree. I've been here since Sean allowed to yell bang, and it's brand new. Joseph Derivatives, aka Options, is a great compliment to the gang. Thank you very much. Saturn's a dog. Let's head it off. Let's send things off to Adair, guys. I hope everyone's having a fantastic morning. If you caught that IBIT breakout, congratulations. And there's nothing I love than sitting here next to Neil, Sharif, even if I get the opportunity to sit next to Sean. It's a true privilege, and I enjoy, man. I'm not even going to lie. I enjoy coming in here and talking with all of you. I want to see what you guys are up to all the time.
Just talking shop.
Just talking shop, man. Just talking about what we love. But we're going to send things off to Adair.
Before we do,
okay.
I just want to give one quick update because we lost VWAP on USO, so it's heading lower. The first thing I could find that was breaking trend, I just stuck to what I was already trading, was silver back above VWAP as USO goes below. So it went from short to reversing above VWAP to the long. I'm going to play this to high a day. Ideally, it gets there.
Oh, there goes USO to the downside. Yes, let's go. Hopefully, you can drag the market up.
Adara?
Some more housekeeping here on the Middle East. First, we do have CNN reporting that U.S.-Iran talks are now planned for Wednesday in Pakistan. This follows reports that J.D. Vance hadn't left for Pakistan yet. That's very likely because the vice president will be going for Wednesday, when those talks are now supposed to happen. President Trump also just released a pretty lengthy post on Truth Social. The big thing here is he just said that he thinks Iran can have a great and prosperous future if their new leaders are smart. So that was his comments there. Let's take a look at these small caps. TOVX to start things off. Theriva Biologics, this is not the first time this company has rallied. This name, it's got about a 15% short float here, announcing that they're going to be revealing some new data in an upcoming poster presentation for their Virage Phase 2B clinical trials. So I guess positive results hopefully to be announced by TOVX. CMND up next year. You've got about $2.7 million market cap. So small market cap for Clearmind Medicine. This one I know has been discussed already on the show this morning, and for good reason, up pretty significantly, announcing that their CMND 100 treatment met the primary endpoint in their FDA trial. Last but not least, USAR, larger market cap here, but I think this one's worth noting. It is near intraday highs, relatively small price tag here, currently trading around $23, announcing a definitive agreement to acquire Serra Verde Group for roughly $2.8 billion. So $2.8 billion acquisition here for USAR on watch. The company has a short float of about 15%. Back to you.
I'm going to give our people out at TikTok a little bit of a shout out. What do you think about what do we think about that one? Good stuff. Tamara, TikTok, target 161 and under, TXRH. All right. Can you check out ONDS, says EAI? Absolutely, and Abdullah joined. So welcome. Let's take a look at ONDAS, ONDS Inc. Strong today, man. This is, all right, some good looks here, right? ONDS. Let's go Tesla. We printed 1344s right there. It's exactly what we want to see. ONDS, a nice move higher. The market's starting to find somewhat of a recovery. That Bitcoin and that breakout in Bitcoin happened. It's all right. We were just a sliver away. You know when it's just something's just out of reach? Like, no. That's what happened with us here this morning in Bitcoin. But guess what?
It's like cliffhangers.
Yeah, it's like yeah, it's just like every time you get a little bit, but eventually, as soon as you grab onto one, you got to let it ride and let those things work for you. But let's see if we can get a little bit more of a sustained bounce in Tesla. There is a resistance zone giving us a little bit of trouble here. We'll pull it up on TSLA. We have to be prepared to get out of this one just in case it does break down and USO doesn't want to continue its slide. But if it's working for us, why not hold on? But you can see that this is starting to act as a pretty hefty resistance zone. Would have been more ideal to get in at 30s, take some off at 41s, but that's not necessarily our case. We were in off of the lows. Now let's see if we can get some form of a pullback into the volume weighted average price. First thing first, you have to break this resistance.
Well, you know what I just realized? This is the longest I've probably gone. I haven't reminded people to type $.
Ooh.
And the funny thing about it is you guys are doing a fantastic job. I look in the chat right now, and almost everybody is using the $sign in front of your tickers. Remember, if you're not in the chat, then just get in the chat. It's a great community. Ask questions. Give your thoughts. What are you trading? What do you think looks interesting? You know, we're all here to learn and trade and get better at the end of the day. And the visualizer lets us know what's the most popular. Tesla going to be in there, HIMS, Hood, USAR, and huh? BlackBerry?
Huh?
Huh? Huh? Really? Okay, well, for reasons unknown, BlackBerry slides into number 5 on the visualizer. I know they reported last week, but it's up 7%. wow, okay, fair enough. AMD in there, we got the car. That just caught me off guard, that's all. ASCS, that makes some sense to me. USO, we got in there, Marvell, Meta, lots of things moving around. And then sometimes when it gets really popular like HIMS, you see it light up like that. So $ in your ticker. Anytime you happen to type in a ticker, it just helps out if you do. So appreciate all of you. AMD's trying to break this trend here. So it's like this little wedge. I'm going to be jumping into this. Where's my next offer on SLV and why did it not fill is the first thing I'm going to be thinking. Just going to move it and try to catch that fill first. And then once we close, this is not a clean trend line, I wouldn't say. Like to me, it's more of there's your bottoming tail candle. And then I just sort of look at from that first bounce, like there was the open, there was a support, it breaks, then turns into resistance, and then resistance, and then it's like a mini trend line break as the market's trying to go. And I wanted to be long this sucker at some point, so we're taking our shot now. Again, just gonna give it to the prior bar, which is about that 76. If AMD saw a 26, we'd all be losing our minds at this point. So SLV, like I said, I was just getting another leg out in front of the high, so we flipped short when it turned off the top. You got a bit of I got trailed out when I got that topping or bottoming tail candle. Then we got back to VWAP and the market went to make a turn. I can't see myself letting this get through VWAP, at least given the structure here. It's too much of a choppy market, I think, to let this turn red on me through that volume weighted average price. So gonna tighten the stop up just a little bit if we lose VWAP. This one's been clean twice for me, so I wouldn't want to turn this one into an absolute mess or anything, which I don't think we can at this point. But I'm going to give that one to just about that break-even point. And then the new shot, of course, was, like I said, it was in AMD here. Don't want it losing that prior bar. But if there's so much room to VWAP, like it's got $3.5 worth of room if it continues this. So I think giving it the buck makes a little bit of sense here.
Yeah, I think this is it for the Tesla long, to be honest with you guys. It didn't rebound. I mean, we take some off there. Should have just got out break even as we typically do, but just this engulfing print. So if it doesn't work out, the market was rejecting the volume weighted average price. So we have to be prepared to get out of this one if it doesn't want to cooperate with us and it cracks through that low of the day. We took a little bit off, nothing substantial, about a quarter or so to see if we were going to get that sustained move. But that resistance zone coming, that prior support, this is completely acting as resistance right now. So with that being said, it's weak, and I think it's going to be a short in the market here, and that's going to be obviously brought along by Tesla. A nice inverted hammer, Neil, on IBIT on the 1 minute time frame, and you can see on the 5 minutes. So it's going oppo the market right now, and then sure enough, you can see that we're going to crack through some support systems relatively soon. But yeah, Tesla not looking too good. I think we have to get out of this one here now, Neil.
Yeah, it's just there's not enough strength coming into this market. I looked over to see if I could have maybe shorted Intel at VWAP. That's not even getting. It's not even getting there. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's the one I really like to short the most, and I can't even get a solid entry on it. Even AMD doesn't seem to want to go. As I said, I'll be out of this silver if it loses VWAP. If you get what you can get and try not to get upset. If this is only going to end up with a 1% range back and forth, I'll be surprised, but you just try to take what you can out of it at this particular point, you know, and try not to fight it. Like AMD, I think, has more potential, but it doesn't have a heck of a lot of strength. And I got to remind myself, like I didn't even allow,
on Tesla.
You know what, on a 15-minute, this is an absolute failed high on a 15-minute. And yeah, it flashed a bit of a signal on the 3, but on the 15, this kind of looks like continuation until I see a close. A close needs to hold like where I'm in right now, like the 77.5. Like hold that level on the 15 and we'd look a little bit better. So we just started the new candle. This might be a quick exit and wait for the next candle for an opportunity on AMD, which I should be liking a little bit better. But for now, it's still holding. At least now for sure. What was this? I saw my name. Oh, you know what? Saturn, not to single you out or anything, but if you actually just type, like if I go at Joseph, are you in the chat?
Yeah, Joe.
Joe? No. You got to type in the chat. So if I go at somebody, if I go at Darwin, right? So I go at Darwin and say hi. Then when Darwin looks, it'll light up, and someone ats me, like my name lights up, and it goes in green, or like orange, like this. So
I don't know why it does that.
So here was a comment. It's just that I'm not going to notice it as well when you don't do this. I just happen to be looking. Your energy and comfort as a public figure. I'm actually not that comfortable being a public. Yeah. I don't know, like I'm not good with attention. You sound like a fun sports announcer now, a true professional of entertainment as well as an elite trader. Inspiring. Appreciate it. When we started, we had the absolute benefit for 8 months. Joe, Sharif, and everyone except for myself and Sean, these guys started out on the fire in front of you guys on YouTube. We started for 8 months internally for the company. So like it wasn't like public, it was just other traders at the firm that were listening to us. And believe me when I tell you, we ironed out a lot of stuff before we came to YouTube. Like I can't even watch. Those old ones were so bad, in my opinion. I've been told they're not that bad. But I feel like we got comfortable doing it. I guess it's like anything else, it's just repetition. But I had never really found myself as comfortable with it.
Yeah, I think that's essentially what it is.
We got a lot of practice. You guys are just thrown to the fire, which I think is incredibly hard.
We like it hot, man. We like being thrown right into fire. Joe, did you watch the Marner last night? Do you look so much more free with Vegas? No, I'm not going to be watching the Vegas playoffs or anything. This market feels mid. Yeah, it is big time mid, in my opinion, right? So we take some off on Tesla. We just get out of it. It looks too bearish, in my opinion. You have the SPY heading right towards the volume weighted average price. It looks like that IBIT wants to break down as well, too. So we'll be a little bit more patient. It is relatively strong, but it could just be a breakout. On the 5-minute time frame, you can see the volume slowly start to cool off. So if we hold this candle, let's actually zoom out so we can see a little bit better on what this one is. Why is that doing that? Because I want to make this one bigger. No, we don't want to exit it. Come on, you can cooperate. There you go. You can do it. As I say as I say to Milo all the time.
Rob Schneider.
So here it is. Oh man, I don't have that thing. But this is the candle that might hold up here. Volume on that breakout seems relatively light. Let's be patient and see if we can get a breakdown. Tesla, it is starting to form a base, guys. I don't know if I'm going to take an additional stab at it. Why? I just believe on the 5-minute time frame still looks relatively weak. We're not too far off of my entry price from before, but yeah, we have to be a little bit more cautious. We put some shares on there and on IBIT, and 2 of those didn't work out for us. So let's see if we can find something else. But with that being said, we have to be risk adverse here.
Yeah, watch out for what's going on with this USO.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't love the fact that it's already starting to catch a bid again. It's like if you look at it, it's kind of a reverse head and shoulders. If you kind of look at, give that like a shoulder, and then there's your head, and there's your other shoulder there. So that could easily resolve itself with this going, like breaking higher, and then the shorts sort of come back into play. Where I'm gonna go back over to, I thought it should be Intel. I don't know if I'm gonna get a shot at this at VWAP, but if I see that trend break, I didn't mean to be short this stock. So any pop in the volume weighted average price I'll get. Otherwise, it might just end up being IBIT. Like trying to jump back into this. It just got up to that top. I could maybe take it off of this high here and just work that. So I'm watching pretty closely as USO gets into the volume weighted average price. Like that's all we're seeing. Silver has some heavy resistance, someone just mentioned. Yeah, I'm sort of seeing SLV holding on to the top end of this range. With this one, I feel like I've already scalped out into the high. And as long as it holds VWAP, fair enough. Like I don't want to add to this here. The initial idea was short, so I'm not really adding to this long, and it gets, unless there's some really decent confirmation. And if we lose VWAP, I can just hop out of it. AMD sort of not really doing much of anything. So it held the bottoming tail. It's holding this consolidation higher. So it hasn't stopped out, but it hasn't broke higher to get into VWAP. I'm just playing this into Friday's highs, right? Like that 280 was a double top. It was Thursday and Friday's high. So we'll go into 79 and then into that 80 level if we can get it. But it's not really doing much. And silver, that just tagged VWAP, so I'm jumping out. Might say it could be premature, but my initial thought was to revert moves up in SLV today. So getting out of the long a little bit quicker than I would have gotten out of the short is going to be the way that I'm going to play it. Just take the wins as you can. I don't mind flipping the trade because that's what I saw in the moment. But my original thesis was short, so I don't want to be forcing any longs there.
I hear you. I hear you. Yeah, I mean, there goes the Bitcoin, and you climb a little bit higher. So the chop is in, right? I wouldn't be surprised if you get a little bit more of a sustained move, liquidity grab. You stop a bunch of people out south of the support level, including myself, and then off to the races you go. But that's the thing. So it's size down, especially in this market. If USO and the overall market are going to have this kind of correlation, then I have to size down drastically. And with that being said, that gives me a wider stop and allows things to work out a little bit better for us. So other than that, we were talking about Bitcoin not too long ago, IBIT. Bang, off to the races, starting to come back in a little bit. So you do have that topping tail signal right at 42.95, support level at that 42.80 mark, and then I believe the next target, you break through that. If it's really strong, I think it's going to see you break through the support, do the exact same thing that we just seen in Tesla, where you break through the support, you absorb some more liquidity, and then off to the races you go, back towards to establish a new high. You are going off of the market at this point, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's sustained, but a nice little pop in Tesla. AMD slowly starting to curl over. USO, what are you doing? If USO's heading low, yeah, it's going higher, and somehow the market's holding up.
That's so weird.
Yeah, I mean, you're now north of VWAP here on USO. There is some resistance and I guess a prior support from the pre-market, and then sure enough, you can see that resistance zone right there. So if it breaks this candle, knocks into that, maybe there we see some form of a continuation. But with the talks between Iran and the States not going necessarily as planned, then sure enough, this is where you see this toppy type price action. So for me, it's just like sit on my hands, allow a couple more headlines maybe to step in, because I wouldn't be surprised if they don't, and then wait for something there. Yeah.
If it's this choppy, then how about we throw something up here?
Yeah, throw a bull up there.
What's the SPY at right now? 0.2 down. Okay, I can just go red or green. Will the SPY end up? I'll say green or red. Or up or down is easier. Let's go up, down. So everybody, I'm gonna make it. We always make it pretty simple. This is as simple as possible because it's already 10:40. I want this one done by the time we throw over to the midday. So very quickly, you think we're gonna end green today? Then just type 1 in the chat. If you think we're gonna end red, just type the 2 in there. I gotta be real with you. Like, my gut is just like we're hanging on enough that I'm gonna feel green here. I've typed the 1 already myself. I know that's self-serving because I'm in a long position, but I just feel like that seems like the way we're going, based on the action that we're seeing so far. Ooh, what was that spike? Okay, we just actually had a nice spike up. I get all the people typing 1, which was only 40% of you, giving a little bit of a spike. So right now, 60% think red, and only 40% think green. We'll leave it up for just a little bit longer. Yeah, I just saw a seller. There was a spike up into like 278 quarter, and then someone just slammed this thing on AMD. So I feel like I should be trying to get something out in front of it. That's almost silly that I didn't catch it. I was sitting a little bit higher, but I might have missed the opportunity to get that fill and jump quickly to take some profit. I don't know if we missed. Did we miss this super chat? White Tokyo.
See.
I'm just gonna throw this one here. I think we might have missed a couple. Oh, that's automatic. Oh, okay. I didn't realize. I thought you guys were doing that. When I press the button, I can make it do that sound. Oh, that's dangerous. So it's White Tokyo. Thesis on Rocket Lab. Would love to hear your thoughts. Well, one, I like them better than ASTS. I think just fundamentals are probably a little bit better in. It's not even just their fundamentals are better. The chart has been much stronger. They don't have the negative catalyst today. They had a technical breakout last week in Rocket Lab. The upward, like it held. It's a growth stock that's been holding the 200 period moving average. So in all the market turmoil, look at this thing ride the 200 period. Now, I don't own shares of Rocket Lab personally. My brother does. So it's like kind of in the family. So it's not really self-serving or anything, but anyways, I prefer them to ASTS. I think technically there's room to get back into the high. It's just in the midst of a really good breakout here. And just the continuation is great today because, there we go. Let's zoom it back out so you can see. Like, I love when you get boring and it's like, oh no, but it held this flag and then you open up lower. Well, guess what? It did not break that prior day close. And then you get one of those clean technical breakouts here through 87. As long as it holds 87, I think you're looking pretty good. Thank you for the reversal there, AMD. Something said to take something out into that seller. And it turns right back in to the downside. You know what? I'm tightening my stop here. I'm gonna tighten this stop. All right. This doesn't. the market's not looking very good, and USO is really not slowing down. And if USO is not going to slow down, then holding on to these longs is not going to make a ton of sense. Just going to tighten this up a bit.
Adara.
Are we? I didn't even realize.
Let's take a look at these sectors, guys. It's a really, really mixed board to start a week that I think will continue to be mixed as we digest A, headlines in the Middle East, and B, a lot of earnings reports. Generally, we start to see these boards get kind of mixed as we digest these earnings-related headlines. So I think this will probably just be the first of maybe many days where this board looks kind of scattered in this way. Energy and minerals, though, incredibly strong to start today. These are all up by 1% or more for the most part as we continue to digest heightened tensions between the U.S. and Iran once again. Process industries also quite strong. Industrial services quite strong. Uber to the downside, but other transportation names doing quite well. Utilities generally looking pretty good here. Same with finance. Now, these tech names are where we start to see a little bit more divergence. Tech services has tons of weakness in Netflix, Meta, Microsoft, and Google, as well as Palantir, but a lot of the other names, specifically the SaaS names, all up at least 1% each. Electronic tech, once again, the largest names in this sector, like NVIDIA and Broadcom, are to the downside, though Apple, of course, another heavy hitter. They're trading higher, same with Arista Networks and TXN. So some of that divergence here within the sectors showing up for probably not the first time this week, I would guess, and certainly not the first time this earnings season. Back to you.
Thank you, Adara. If this ends up being a bad wick, I'll feel pretty decent about tightening up the stop here in AMD. Just allow it to sometimes be an overall flat trade instead of a bad one. So that kind of sort of is what it is. I find like as a trader, like sometimes you just want to have, if it doesn't work out perfectly and you can just take a flat instead of a loss, it's better than the alternative.
Yeah.
That being said, remember
Agreed.
we're talking about MSTR being relatively strong? Well, in the moment that I was obviously looking at AMD, MSTR finally broke the volume weighted average price. It's like, yeah, I'm looking left and it goes right. I got to watch out for Bitcoin obviously here, but let's be real. It didn't make sense to me why when we were at lows on IBIT, MSTR was so strong. Now they're a little bit more lockstep. So like IBIT pulls back into VWAP, this pulls back into VWAP. So I think at least now you're able to sort of look at Bitcoin and understand that if I see it make a major spike, I may have a fraction of a second MSTR, but I want it holding underneath the volume weighted average price for sure. Confirm that, and then I would look for the short there. What do we get? Dijon Mustard is telling me that BlackBerry is running.
Is it?
You know what? Good for them. Like this has actually been quite impressive for BlackBerry, which is saying a lot because I don't think there's been much going for them for a long time. It looks like a squeeze to me. So, like, I'd probably, let me,
The best thing BlackBerry can do.
Yeah, we got locates on this. No, I'm just saying, if this extends a little bit further and gets close to the $6 level, we'll probably look for a short on this. Nice little squeeze happening in BlackBerry, but I don't know how much it's going to sustain. Like, what's the end game here?
They got to get into data centers and AI. BlackBerry AI is their best bet. I don't even. What do they even do now?
Pull in all birds. That's what you got to do. Just pull in all birds, where you just go from whatever it is that you do, and then just say now we're yada 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 AI.
Like come out with an LLM or something.
No, but like seriously, I mean it's half worked for them. This was a $2 stock. It went to 20. Now we're at 11 still. This is still up 5x from the time that they rebranded from a shoe company.
Who is that? Yeah. Yeah, but is that, I'm pretty sure they have like $50 million to spend.
Oh, that's what didn't make sense to me with the Albert thing. It's like $50 million.
They don't have anything.
$50 million is, no, obviously it's a decent amount of, it's a lot of money, but in the context of completely changing, transforming this business and building out, it's not that much money. That's what didn't make sense to me for Allbirds.
Yeah.
Anyways, good for them. It's holding up pretty decently.
Yeah. Exactly. All right, guys. So, yeah, let's get right back into some things. I mean, the market, if we look at the SPY and the NASDAQ here, the first I guess 40 minutes or so, or the first hour, I guess we can say, a lot of overlapping candles, but you do end up rejecting the volume weighted average price. That was the signal for me to go short. Now you're getting a bounce in Tesla. I just don't feel enough confident. Like where we're trading on the 5 minute is essentially no man's land. And if you ask me, it looks like we're going to get in that curl over feel here in AMD. You do have that outlying volume print right here in a hammer candle at VWAP on IBIT, but I don't love the location. I would like to see that wick south and in the middle of this congestion zone. At some point, I think we are going to break through the support level here on Tesla as the market is taking a new low. USO putting this inverted all the way above VWAP. We had multiple, so there is selling pressure within this, and you have this gap down in which you fill about 30% of it, or say this gap up, you fill about 30% of that. So if this continues to climb higher, then I think the market is going to continue to move south, and you can see the inverse correlation, a lot of chop around those lows, and that would be relative to what we're seeing here on the NASDAQ with I pulled that one with the NASDAQ here around these highs. So you have this pre-market zone. It's just overlapping for the first hour, and then sure enough, you decide to put in a new leg. I wouldn't be surprised if you have somewhat of a bullish candle. I don't know if you're going to get back to the volume-weighted average price at this point. A couple headlines come out, things will change. You'll have some volatility spikes because I feel that's the narrative and the sentiment that we're currently in right now. We had Donald Trump saying that he's willing to drop more bombs. Sure enough, the market doesn't really know what it wants to do at that point.
No, not really. And look, I don't mean to hate on BlackBerry, but here's a question, because I know some people are like, yeah, but they expanded their partnership with NVIDIA.
Yeah.
If somebody can tell me how much revenue BlackBerry's actually getting out of that, then I'll feel a little bit better about it. They do, their annual revenue is, I'm pretty sure, less than the Blue Jays payroll. I'm pretty sure about that. BlackBerry.
Oh, BlackBerry?
They're probably more than a bunch of major league teams, but certainly, definitely not the Dodgers, and certainly not anybody in that top.
Listen.
In the top third. So, and again, but if it's enough, if it's a big enough number in a reasonable amount of time that we can confirm, then I'll say all kinds of good things about BlackBerry. I just honestly don't know. Yeah. And when it's just like, oh, we've got to tie up with this company, sometimes just name dropping NVIDIA isn't enough, right? There needs to be actual money coming through that's going to signal serious growth. And I genuinely don't know. So if somebody has an idea what it is, and then relative to okay, what's the time frame that they could earn that revenue relative to what they have now, which I'm pretty sure is at least less than $250 million. It's under 200 million.
Yeah.
So
okay, listen to this. You're going to think this is insane.
And yes, I did have a BlackBerry longer than any other person out there. I am the last thing from a hater. We're just talking about why you would like the stock, right? Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Neil, you ready for this?
Okay.
We have a company with a $1.9 billion market cap, but its total annual revenue of $1.4 million. What
are we talking about, Rigetti?
Oh my God. If you want to talk about insanity, then that is it right there. How are you valued at $1.9 billion and you make $1 million a year?
But isn't Rigetti like that? Aren't the quantum names are all like that? Some of them don't even have revenues. It's, you know what, we've seen worse. I'm pretty sure the big four quantum names are all in that realm. Maybe IonQ is a little bit better. And then what about some of those nuclear names? They're pretty bad.
Yeah.
But when you're chasing that kind of growth, and especially in quantum where the upside scene is just so tremendous, you can point, there's a there, where you can imagine it's the next big thing and you're gonna pay for it. By the time it has anything resembling a reasonable valuation, it's too late with those types of plays. I don't think BlackBerry is that kind of a thing, for sure. Someone says Joby is like that as well. That would make sense. I literally just said Joby, and then Sharif goes piece of crap. Why is Joby such a piece of, why? You don't like?
That's why.
Oh, okay, my bad. Then Sharif just clarified that the reason he yelled piece of crap is because he's out of the money in it, which is perfectly fair.
Oh, okay.
That's a good reason.
We going over to Adara? Okay.
Are we though?
Yeah, apparently we are. Yeah, apparently you're tapped in too. You're not even plugged in,
Oh, that's why. I got up and didn't plug myself back in.
Yeah,
that makes way more sense.
So I looked into the BlackBerry thing, Neil, just because I was curious. So A, they don't even mention NVIDIA in their earnings report, at least the most recent Q4 and FY 2026, their fiscal year ahead. Earnings report, they never mention NVIDIA, so I cannot tell you how much of that revenue is from NVIDIA. What I can tell you, though, Neil, with regards to the J's payroll, is they've actually more than doubled the J's payroll on the year. So I looked at the J's payroll for 2025. Number I got was 254 million to 258 million. This could be incorrect, but either way, BlackBerry's annual revenue, a cool 549 million for the fiscal year. So actually well above the J's payroll if the J's payroll number I'm seeing is accurate. So let's take a look though now at the US dollar, because I wanted to look into that. US dollar looking pretty toppish here if I'm being quite honest. You have a pseudo double top going back to March 13th of 26 and then again here March 31st of 2026. Both time above that $100 level, now pushing a little bit lower, lower highs and lower lows. Not a ton of exciting economic data today at all, but tomorrow we're going to get Fed Chair nominee Kevin Warsh. He'll be having his Senate Banking Committee confirmation hearing at 10 a.m. Eastern. I am very excited and overjoyed to be covering that all for you tomorrow. So please stay tuned. I have some infographics to come. In the meantime, we've got a new Fed meeting. April 29th, 2026, 99.5% chance they're not going to cut. So very unlikely we'll get a massive surprise at that meeting. Over to you.
Sharif just told us Trump stating that the ceasefire ends Wednesday evening. You've seen the volatility step into the market. Yeah, be cautious, guys. We tried a little scalp on TSLA, but I was like, you know what? I didn't get in when I wanted to. I had a feeling that this level was going to break 30s all the way down to 13s. Oh, I should have got in. Sure enough, guys, be cautious of these volatility movements. Tesla might put in something. You might see a little bit of a climb higher now, but that ceasefire expiring Wednesday evening. So they got to come with a deal. Let's send it over to Adara.
There's more. They said they're not going to be opening the Strait of Hormuz until the deal is signed. That is what President Trump just said. He said it's highly unlikely he extends the ceasefire with Iran and that we're going to get JB Vance leaving for Pakistan later today. That part we already heard. But once again, President Trump saying, quote, highly unlikely I'll extend the ceasefire with Iran. And if that ceasefire is not extended, looks like we're not going to be getting that Strait of Hormuz reopened until the deal gets signed. Back to you.
Well, I think we've just determined which way we are over VWAP. Like it was on USO, that looks like a pretty clean breakout. As long as it holds on to 121, I guess.
That was a massive breakout.
Wow, like pretty that was nasty.
That was.
Like I was just off. That's so silly. Okay. Like it was just starting to hold this consolidation on MSTR. I'm like, okay, look at how it just goes back and forth. The next time it wicks up, we've got the confirmation it's holding under VWAP. We'll just offer in here. The second I'm offering, one headline hits and it breaks down. So it's like ball in your, it is what it is. Like you're just incredibly lucky if you're already into it. It just flashed the sell signal to me at this point. Yeah, so as far as I'm concerned, if we hold 121 in USO, I'm going back to the shorts. I want MSTR under VWAP. I want Intel where I can't get Intel at VWAP. That's ridiculous. That just broke the low of the day. There I might hop back over to silver. It's that time of day. I didn't reverse SLV. Sometimes it makes sense to flip, but if I'm being real about it, if I don't flip into the long, am I more likely to short that top again? Yes. Was it better? Yeah. So sometimes sticking with the original plan, because when you think it's going to be like chop and range bound, you're like, okay, well then flip it at VWAP and scalp it, and then look for the next trade. But the next trade is looking like short underneath VWAP. So if we come back in here, whether I get MSTR or SLV, as long as USO holds 121, that's going to be the key for myself. I just realized I don't have the what's for lunch button.
I don't have the what's for lunch button.
I have the menu. There was some serious formatting issues going on with the menu.
Sean holding on to that what's for lunch.
No, like I've got the menu, but like I don't know what they're typing. It's just incredibly like ridiculous. I'm trying to figure out what that flag is. I think I know what flag that is.
Which one?
I know what it is.
Let me see. that one?
Yeah,
all day. Yeah.
Turkish.
Yeah. For
okay.
Sure.
So I don't have the what's for lunch button, but we got a Turkish flag today.
We got donor?
Well, I'm pretty surprised if this is really true. Because it's lamb kebabs, which I don't think we've ever had lamb kebabs. I don't think we've ever even had lamb. So I'm happy with it.
But that's.
You don't like lamb, Joey?
Yeah, I love lamb. What do you mean? Come on.
And then garlic grilled tortillas, Middle East roasted vegetables, and a fattoush salad. I don't know.
What's that?
So I don't know what that is. Sharif just said, oh, no, not the Fatouche, like he knows what, I don't know what that is. You know what that is?
No.
I don't know what that is, so like I'm not gonna pretend like
That's crazy.
I know what lamb is, and I absolutely love lamb, so I'll be happy with that.
Good thing we have Google,
But this
though.
market is tanking like an absolute rock.
Let's see what
Rock.
yeah, it is moving.
What is you cheated? You can't cheat
Where?
like that. Oh, and you know what? The vegetarian option, I can't make this up. A Beyond Meat kebab is a vegetarian option.
Did you email, that's what we're getting?
Huh?
It's Beyond Meat kebab?
No, if the vegetarian option is a Beyond Meat kebab.
Okay.
No, we're getting lamb. Don't worry.
All right, yeah, I was about to panic there. Did you
Tell me you hate Beyond Meat without telling me.
Did you email Raquel back?
What was I supposed to email her for?
You didn't see it? Come on, bro.
No, I didn't.
Did you?
To what?
That's madness. No more lunch for you, Neil.
What was I supposed to respond to?
That is very dangerous. I was gonna say.
Oh, the alternative meat options? That? I don't know, whatever. I just eat what comes. Like, I don't get too
That's
greedy.
crazy. I mean,
at
some point we have to hold some form of a standard there, Neil. We can't just eat whatever comes, no? Even though we're thankful for it. I actually remember that one time. Whatever we had, why is Sharif on there?
I sit at my desk, we do the show.
Yeah.
In 3 minutes, I will get up. There'll be a plate wrapped with there'll be a salad, there'll be a protein, there'll be vegetables.
Yeah. No, remember that one time you did come back? No.
Like, I'll be like, oh, it didn't taste great, but I'm eating it every day.
No.
Straight up.
Remember that one time you came back with a Nova slice?
Oh, it was like once in the last year you've seen me eat out.
People don't
Come on,
forget,
man.
my boy.
I'm just saying.
Man. That's crazy. It was like one time at the end of the day. But aside from that, let's get
Lunch
right
delivered
back
at work, man.
Pardon me?
We're blessed.
Yeah, we are very blessed. We're very thankful. Even though we just give it a hard time, we couldn't be more thankful for lunch. And we get lamb today, which is, that is very big. Guys, market starting to put in some tails here. Yeah, exactly, Assassino. Had some great salmon once again on the weekend, but that doesn't matter. What matters right now is that pardon me? Homemade? Yes, sir. With that maple barbecue. Aside from that, guys, the Qs starting to hold these levels. We had that massive volume spike. We had that tank down where we were essentially breaking through some key support levels, and then you had that inverse correlation step right back in with USO starting to rip a little bit higher. So keep an eye out, guys. It's been a weak one. It's been a choppy. We had our couple attempts, and with that being said, I'm in no rush. So if you see some silence on my behalf, that's fine, because I don't personally like it when we got this back and forth between Donald Trump and Iran going on. It's just it's really choppy stuff, in my opinion.
It is one of those types of markets. Like, if I was still in some of the shorts from earlier, it would be a great place, I think, to hold on because of the flush we just saw. But when it comes to entering or like re-entering, like I'm looking at IBIT, it's flashing me the same thing. It's at the lows, not at 11 o'clock. There's no chance I'd ever punch the low of the day at 10 o'clock. It would have to look so good on multiple time frames, and it doesn't really look that great. It's not a bad level, but I'd still look to get it in front of VWAP. I already showed you guys MSTR. I'm thinking the same thing with that SLV as well. So, you know, oh, now there's a graphic. Well, it's a little bit late. We've already sort of talked about it. There's only 1 minute to go, but appreciated for sure. Intel, if I can get this, that's the one I should be short. It's just so weird. Sometimes that's how the market is. Like, you get this ridiculous topping tail candle early, which messes up the short entry. And then the only trade I have is catching along on Intel when this is one I wanted short. So we'll look for bounces to be able to fade. And I think as long as USO holds on to VWAP in 121, if the big change in USO happened in here, as long as it holds those higher lows, you got to almost be thinking that short. And Gary retired. I love that message. I don't think anybody's even been talking about what day it is today, which is fine. Like, it's not that big of a deal. No, I'm just, what? I'll hit it. It would have been more interesting if this actually happened. MSOS is still green on 420. The problem is there's no catalyst. It broke 420 and did nothing with it, came back under, now it's retaken it's really trying to go. I think the issue is there's probably a lot of people that are trying to will this into existence, and there's absolutely no reason for it to happen. It looks good on the chart. It looks good because of obviously the day that it is, and it looks good because of the price that it's at. There is nothing else happening here in MSOS for it to go. If there was even a small catalyst, I would be looking for this breakout over 420 all day. It's just, what are you supposed to do? There's no reason for this to happen. It's kind of jokes and kind of cool that on obviously 420 day that it happens to be at that price and it happens to look like a potential breakout trade. But the market's not looking too good as we're about to throw you guys over. Again, it turns out that it's just going to be the shock in oil futures down is leading everything lower. And even one of the strongest names out there, like Apple, was leading the way, hasn't even put a green candle in the last hour. From 10 to 11, it's just been straight to the downside. So I'm going to be looking short some pops. That USO 121 is going to have to be it. There's some good scalping today, but I feel like it was a lot of scalp trading. You know, get short, flip long, and play it in both directions. Now that we've made a direction, not in any of the shorts. So we'll have to be patient getting back into them. We've got Joe doing double duty because that's what he does. I mean, Sean will be back from the beach later on this week. Till then, you got the professor, you got Joey options. I'm going to get some lamb. You'll always have it there at the desk. And apparently Rob, too, just chilling out at the desk. Wave to him. Say hi, Rob. There it is. Oh, he gives there he goes. Yeah, there it is. We'll fire it back. I'll be back at noon for the lesson, and I'm going to enjoy that lamb. Treat.
Hopefully it's good.
I don't